Hello everyone and welcome back to the No, what? It's not the Four Pillars podcast.
Welcome back to the Four Pillars podcast.
Leave this shit in, that's fucking brilliant. Welcome back to the Horsey and Fox podcast. As you can see, I was on autopilot there. Don't know why my autopilot would be Four Pillars though, considering it's been like 6 months since we last did one, but you know.
True.
Welcome back to the Four Pillars podcast. Tyler's
back.
quit, he's now fighting people in the arena, and Ethan is spelunking in old ruins. Ethan's what?
Ethan's asleep.
Ethan
missed it
is currently.
again.
Yeah, that was always a classic. That was a banger. I have a blemish on the side of my face. I'm gonna get it out of the way before the fucking podcast starts. I got bitten by a bug on my face, and it went all hard, and then it scabbed over. So, but you can't see it, because I normally face this way, so didn't even really need to mention it. But look, it's there. You know, I'm just coming out. I'm just coming out with this, alright? I just don't want to sugarcoat it, alright? You know?
Yeah.
I'm like Onision. I don't like sugarcoating it, alright?
Exactly.
Actually, no, I don't want to say I'm like Onision. He's a fucking weirdo. Why did I say that?
I'm like Onision.
I'm not like Onision. Just to prove that I'm not like Onision, I'm going to tweet him and say, do you want to fight me in Northampton town centre?
He'll probably reply. To be honest, he's
true. He's fallen off.
I always see him in the replies of tweets all the time.
Oh, that's true. I think I muted him actually, or blocked him. Because I remember I kept seeing him in the comments, and I was like, oh no, I'm not being reminded of fucking Onision whenever I log onto Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm getting rid of this bastard.
Oh man, talking of Twitter, I've been banned for
I saw that. What you can know Twitter? What you can do?
I fucking there was a fucking crypto bot, and I replied to it saying "kill yourself" because I thought it'd be funny, and then Twitter just straight up banned me. They didn't even say like, no, because normally when you go to reply something a little bit, you know, a little bit outlandish, like if you say to someone like, "Oh, I'll punch you" or something, Twitter will be like, don't do this, you might not want to do it because people might find it offensive and they might report you.
And those are the best
and then
tweets.
You could choose. But with this one, they didn't give me the option to choose. They just banned me for a week.
The most base tweets, they give you a warning beforehand. Like, don't put
so
this up.
Annoying.
The base department is saying, don't give away our secrets. But it's weird because, like, you can like spread hatred against trans people and like talk about how you want to kill them, but if you tell a bot to kill itself, you get banned immediately. This is Twitter under Elon Musk. Man. He'll happily promote trans hate, but as soon as you talk bad on crypto, you're getting fucking banned, alright? Because crypto's got some good technology in there, right? Some good stuff in there, right?
Good stuff.
That's Twitter these days. People just going, oh, technology's really impressive. Now I'm going to use it for financial gain.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, I'm happy that I got a banger of a tweet out before with the little Odyssey tweet, so that's good, you know?
True.
People remember me by that for a week. I
put a little funny reply to it.
You did, and I couldn't reply.
Oh, you saw the reply?
Yeah, I can't reply. I can't even like it. It won't let me do anything.
Fuck's sake.
I only have access to my DM, so I could have DM'd you and said I really liked your reply, thanks.
It got a fucking retweet, and of course the person that retweeted it is on private. Oh, I'm private on Twitter because I'm afraid someone fucking coming stealing my identity or seeing who I am. Probably got a fucking anime fucking character profile picture anyway. Why are you on private, bro? How about you suck my dick? I don't know why. I don't know, I'm so angry about it. I don't actually care that much. I just like seeing the people that can retweet my stuff, and when I click on the little notification, it doesn't show me anyone. I'm like, it shows me that goddamn parrot.
Oh, the fucking parrot.
With its fucking stupid eyes that have been photoshopped on it. I don't give a shit.
Fucking stupid parrot.
Bloody hell.
But yeah, I mean, talking about Twitter, you posted a tweet, and I was going to reply to it, but I couldn't.
What, my most recent one? The one that I tweeted,
but yeah, your most recent one where you talked a little bit about your approach to making videos, and I was like, you know, I feel that too.
Yeah, it's
but I couldn't reply and say that, so I thought I'd say it now.
That's how people used to do it, though. They used
to
exactly. Talk to each other.
Yeah, you'd see someone posted a Facebook status in the newspaper, I don't know, and then next time you see them in real life, you'd be like, I saw that in the newspaper.
I saw that, mate. I saw you chatting shit about my wife in the newspaper, you fucking dickhead. Alright?
Yeah, and then they'd have a fight.
Exactly,
like
and then sort it out, and then shake hands afterwards and go, yeah, good fucking scrap, mate. Good fucking scrap, lad. It's
just how the world used to operate before Twitter.
But yeah, my tweet, Yeah, I've been watching a lot of content creators at the minute that are just have inspiringly good content, and it's just like, I look at my videos, I'm like, god damn, I haven't even scratched the surface of what some of the things I've wanted to talk about. And like, I love my Horizon video. It's bloody great, and I had a great time working on it, but it's too video game reviewy. I will still continue to do video game reviews and analysis just because I enjoy the medium, but I'd love to use that as a bridge to talk about other things. So as I said in the tweet, like, pick 3 games of a similar genre or similar, like, they're just similar games in general, and use those games to talk about a bigger topic, or like, I don't know, like nostalgia in Minecraft is something that I've wanted to make a video on for a long time. Like the power of nostalgia in Minecraft, which has been done to death, but I'd still like to do it. Or like a video talking about video game remakes and the importance of them, or the how they sort of made. It's hard to explain. What I want to do. I've got so many fucking ideas coming around in my brain.
I get what you mean. I think there's a certain level of, I don't know what it is. Like when you evolve and change your content, it's like, we started out doing Minecraft Let's Plays, and then we moved on to doing something a little bit more sophisticated in keeping up with Assassin's Creed news and stuff, and like that took a little bit more effort. And then you move on from that to these like long form analysis review type videos, and that's again like honing your skills in form of like writing and being able to like understand how games are put together, because I feel like that's that's important. But then you reach a point, and I felt similar in that I think for me I'm like, but does it what I'm doing like mean anything to anyone? Like they probably find it insightful, and it's interesting, but like, is it gonna like touch someone on like a profound level where they're like, wow, this meant something, And I've been trying to do a bit more of that recently with like, my Starfield video was like focusing on, like, I decided to go, well, what about Starfield is the thing that like captures my attention the most, and like, why is that, and like, how can I turn that into something more? And then I, from that springboard to talk about No Man's Sky, Mass Effect, and Red Dead Redemption 2 in the same video, and talk about just this feeling of like exploration and chance and all that stuff. And I was like, it just felt really cathartic to write, and I feel like people watching it might come out of it like, oh yeah, that really made me like feel something because it's interesting.
That's what it's about, I think, is eliciting that sort of reaction from someone, instead of just them coming away and going, that was a good review, I enjoyed that, it confirms my opinions on the game, or I didn't agree with it, but it was still a good video because, what it was written eloquently or whatever. I want someone to come away from a video, like some of the videos I've been watching recently, and be like, god damn, I've got a new perspective on this media, or I've thought about this in a different way, or it was just such, like, this part of the video was so emotive and, like, impactful. It's just I want to have that impact on people. I don't just want to make fucking game reviews. Like, I love making the game reviews. I'm gonna keep reiterating that. Like, it is good, but I do want to branch out and do, like, general, like, linking games into almost everyday life, if that makes sense.
Into like broader topics. Like, you look at like one of the ones I really enjoyed making, and it's not on like a deeply like important level, but my Subnautica video was really fun because I use Subnautica as a means to discuss thalassophobia, and it just was really fun to link those together and make it like, this game is not just good because it's a well-made game, it's good because it does something really special. And I think like that is what I want to do more of, is less of the like objective analysis, or like obviously nothing's objective, but like sometimes when you do an analysis, it's like within the most objective framework you sort of have for yourself. But do more subjective stuff where it's like, maybe this game has a bunch of flaws in it, but here's one of the elements that just spoke to me on this really complex level. And that's a more valuable analysis of a game than just like a breakdown of, here's how combat works, you swing a weapon and it does this amount of damage, and that's good because of this stat, or like,
it's like, I don't want to get too bogged down in the mechanics of a game. Like, it's interesting to talk about, but when that's the be all end all of a video, it's like, where's the philosophy in that? Like, I want to discuss, like, bring video games up as a topic to like bridge that over to philosophical ideas and stuff. Like, I just think it'd be so much more interesting, so much more fun to make, and so much more cathartic to upload when it's done.
Exactly, and I think as well, like, you know, I look at the best, what I've enjoyed the most when it comes to like writing recent videos, and I look at my Jedi Survivor video isn't even that old, but I'm like, part of me thinks there's so much of that video that if I were to make it now, I could actually cut out. Like, do I need to spend a while talking about the side activities? Do I need to spend a while talking about, you know, level design or stuff like that, or can I just talk about the emotional impact and the way that it marries gameplay with narrative themes, and is that more interesting because that's the bit that actually spoke to me more than just these gameplay mechanics are fun because they're well designed, which is a little bit
it's
boring.
fine, it just gets boring to talk about that over and over again when like you start to write a new script and you're like, okay, so this is the part where I talk about the world, this is the part where I talk about the level design, this is the part where I talk about the mechanics, and it becomes very monotonous. It's like, am I just copy and pasting the same video again with a different coat of paint? Or you know, I just want to add more to what I'm creating opposed to just, you know, being just like game good, game bad.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you look at, like, there's creators out there that do, like, you know, one of the best creators that I enjoy for just general, like, analysis and, like, breakdown of a game's mechanics is White Light. He does great stuff. And I'm like, cannot, like, that's who I'm competing against in that space if that's what I want to make. Or do I go down the route of doing something far more subjective that there is no competition for because it's completely subjective and you can gain something valuable from anybody doing something like that? You know, like it's way more of an interpretation and a personal view on something, and it makes someone look at a piece of art differently because they're like, this is your subjective, very unique perspective on something, which I think is just, it's the kind of stuff that I find the most valuable. And it's like, that's kind of where I want to go next, I guess. And I think it's interesting territory to go into, but I think that it's, and I look back, like, sometimes when I think about this, I'm like, right, what am I doing? Is what I'm doing matters? Like, what should I work on? How should I structure stuff? I look back at, like, my old stuff, and I look at the stuff that was my favorite and that still stands out, and I'm like, it's all the subjective stuff. Like, you know, Odyssey Broke Me is, like, you know, a very subjective view of, you know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey from the perspective of someone that, you know, loved Assassin's Creed. You look at, you know, my Subnautica video, you look at, you know, even my God of War Ragnarok analysis.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up,
Like, it's not the same as, like, other just general sort of, like, breakdowns of a game. And, like, again, if I was to make that video again, I think I would genuinely cut off a lot of the gameplay stuff because I don't think it was the best, like, the most well articulated, and I also don't think it flows that well with the video. Like, there's a lot of people that have agreed and been like, oh yeah, no, I completely agree with the stuff you said about gameplay, but it's also like, it almost doesn't fit into the same video. I almost force myself to critique the gameplay just for the sake of it, because it's like, oh, it's an overarching video.
Review. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's super easy to do, is to get lost in the idea of what the concept of the video was, and then you realise it sort of doesn't work, but you're like, but I've written all this and I've recorded all this, like, I really should put it in.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm like, at least. Like, I mean, you saw how fucking long the original Horizon video was meant to be. I did have to cut about 2 hours from it, and I'm really glad that I did, because looking back on it, that stuff was useless. It was useless content that was there because I thought I had to fill a box and go, oh, I've talked about that. And it's like, you don't have to. I learned a lot from making that video. There's a lot of things that in certain videos I don't have to talk about, and that's fine. Like, yeah, that's why I want to move away from the review stuff, just because it is. I found the parts of that video, like, for example, when I was talking about the story of Stanley Chen, or the story of the Ten, or the story of Adamantine Wreath and stuff like that. Like, that stuff, the interpretations I made of those stories are way more interesting to write and edit than let's talk about the skill tree, or let's talk about the side content, or like the fucking relic ruins or some shit. It's like, the subjective side of writing about it is way more interesting than just talking about it from such a cold analytical viewpoint.
Yeah, and I think there's something that you know, there's something you learn when writing those sorts of videos too, is that sometimes you get so focused on, like, the, you know, the minutiae of, like, the mechanics, that you end up writing about stuff and you're like, why am I writing this? Like, Does anybody give a shit? Like,
yeah.
Why
does
am I
anyone
right?
give
Like,
a shit? Or am I just going to come across like I'm raving into the void? Like...
yeah, I literally look back at like my Jedi Survivor video. I'm like, why do I have a section on side quests? Who cares? Like, why am I writing this? Like, that's not interesting to hear about or write about or talk about. Like, they're side quests, man. They're just side quests. It's,
and if there was like a particular side quest that you thought stood out, and you're like, oh, this is a great example of what I think they should do more of or less of or whatever, I don't know, that would be a good thing to highlight. But to highlight side quests as a whole, I mean, I'm assuming that in Jedi Survivor the side quests are just sort of take them or leave them. Like, they're not that good, they're not that bad either.
They're just there to like make the world feel a bit more like tangible,
like
I
set
guess.
dressing almost.
Yeah, like they exist to point you in a particular direction, so that when you get to that area of the world, you're like, oh, now I can explore this area because I came here for a reason, but now I can kind of go out of my way. And like, there was a part in that section where I talk about one specific side quest that I thought was really nice, which is like, you go to this old shack, you find this robot, and by looking around, you realize that there were people here with the robot, but now he's the only guy. Like, the droid is the last guy that's there, and you can like send him back to your settlement. And that's really cool. But then everything else I talked about, I'm like, why am I still talking about this stuff? Like, I'm reviewing it. Like, why am I reviewing it? There's a million reviews for this shit.
That is true, yeah.
Nobody needs to hear me go, yeah, I thought the side content was pretty decent. Yeah. That's such a boring fucking analysis.
And to be fair, like,
it doesn't
the
mean
way
anything.
I think about these long form videos and stuff, if someone wanted to know whether or not the side content in Jedi Fallen Order was good, they're not going to click on a 1 hour long video talking about it. Like, most people that watch a video like that are either never going to play the game and just interested to see what it's like, or they've already played it and want to see what you think about it. So it's like, you just going, oh yeah, the side content was pretty good. I guess that does feel like, that satisfies the people that wanted to know what you think about it. But I guess it is like, from a review standpoint, it's like they have to watch through the entire video to get to that point.
And it's like a review that acts as a review for someone that's not played the game and wants to know if they should.
Yeah.
A review should be short as well. Like, a review should be like, 5 to 10 minutes. Like, if you're doing an hour-long video, nobody that's not played the game but is interested in maybe playing it is clicking on that video. It's a very small percentage. And so I think part of the way I structure them as well is I'll be like, we won't talk spoilers for this section, and then we will talk spoilers for this section. Is like, who is that? I don't know who that's for. I just don't know if there is an audience that needs that.
Maybe it's for the people that otherwise would comment, you didn't give me a fucking spoiler warning, you prick.
Yeah, I know, but then I'm thinking like, well, why don't I just do full spoilers for the whole thing, and at the beginning go, look, spoilers, there you go.
And that's what I tend to do.
About it,
I don't even give them a spoiler warning. I'll just go, you've seen how long the video is. There's no way I'm avoiding spoilers for like 2 hours. Fucking deal with it.
Yeah. Like, people would ask me about my AC1 video, like, does this have spoilers? I'm like, I don't know how you think I talked for 5 hours about this game without ever touching on spoilers.
Oh my god, who hasn't played AC1 anyway?
It's 16 years. Go play. It's literally like a 5-hour game. Just go play it.
Yeah, you only have to do like 2 investigations per target. Come on, just get it done. You can finish that in a day. Oh god.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting to go in that new direction, and I think like my Starfield video was really fun to write. So was the video I've just written up on the Final Fantasy 16 demo.
Oh, that's cool.
Which we'll talk about in a little bit. But
we will.
The other thing I've written, I'm forgetting what it was. Oh, the big video I did on Bolt, which is not on YouTube yet, but it's been on Patreon for
You're gonna upload it to Nebula.
Oh man, I'd love to be on Nebula. That'd be sick. That'd be so sick. Nebula, if you're out there, I'm willing to work with you.
What? So it's like, only they only allow certain people to come onto the website.
It's a curated like thing, sort of like the Netflix of like.
Oh, see, I was thinking it was like a competitor to YouTube, so it's actually like an established thing, and people will like.
Yeah.
They'll only choose people to be on there. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, they only want like the highest tier of creator on there. And from the people that I've seen, like, subscriber count isn't really taken into consideration. It's more like if they think you make the stuff that should be on the site, which is cool. It's a cool little place.
That's a cool little community project. Oh, big community project, I suppose. If it's I've seen a lot of creators say, I'm over on Nebula. So that's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But the bulk video's been on Patreon for a bit, and everyone's sort of enjoyed it. It's been like surprisingly, like Patreon's obviously not like a great metric to go to like, you know, use as,
true,
like,
because it's people that are paying money for you, so it's like they're already going to like it.
But compared to all my other early access stuff, it's the most viewed one I've done this year. Damn. Other than my AC1 video, I think.
Damn, so it's only being dethroned by an AC video, which is bound to get the most views anyway, based on our previous audiences and whatnot. So whenever an AC video gets more views than my last, I don't even count it as being like the most successful. I'm just like, that's just the remnants of a bygone era clinging on.
Yeah, you write it off. Like, that doesn't matter. That
was going to happen anyway. I could upload a video of me fisting my arsehole and put the title as AC1 fucking retrospective, and it'd get tens of thousands of views.
Yeah,
maybe even millions. I mean, if the video is that, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, true. But it was fun. I wrote a video on Mirage, and it was not really about Mirage. Like, it's way more about like people's views on Assassin's Creed and how it's been like twisted and warped, and their expectations are all wrong, and like.
Oh, I bet you got comments saying, "What happened to leaving AC in the past?"
Maybe, but I haven't read them, so
see, that's how you look after your own mental health.
Exactly. And people will say, "Oh, well, you're not open to criticism then if you don't want to look." I'm like, I'm open to it. I just don't care. Like, you can leave it. You're absolutely free to leave it. I'm just not going to read it. Like, I don't need your criticism. It's not. I'm not giving you a product that you've paid for that I need criticism. It's free. You can watch it or you don't watch it.
It's a take it or leave it situation. Like, you don't need to be mad at me for putting a free bit of content out on the internet that doesn't confirm your worldview. Like, I'm sorry that I said AC Mirage bad. And it's not even out yet, so I'm not even giving it a chance.
Yeah, but it's going to be good to put this Bolt video out hopefully at some point.
Yeah, that'll be liberating.
I know. Do more bits and things, and I think it'll be particularly liberating to make videos on a new game and not have to do an all-encompassing review of every single element of it. Like, I think it'll just feel nice that, like, you know, when a new game comes out, I can talk about the specific stuff that I think was really important to me, and not go into, like, do a 2-hour analysis of, like, every little thing in the game.
Yeah, because that makes the writing process so monotonous, because it's like, okay, now I've got to cover this, and now I've got to talk about that, and I don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I feel like I have to.
Yeah,
exactly. It's not a fun part of writing, and I'm going to stop.
No, it's not. Yeah, you need to just stop. Like, it's like you said, like, that process of, like, you write out a script and you put the subheadings, and you're like, right, open world, exploration, combat. Like, fuck off. Why am I doing this?
It's funny that you say that, because I have my fucking Google Doc open for my Sonic Frontiers video, and it literally has the outline. It says story synopsis, movement and physics, combat skill tree and leveling, gameplay loop. And I'm still going to make this video because it's done. Like, the script is done, so I have to make it.
Yeah.
But there are certain parts of it that I guess didn't need to be written. But I'm going to keep it how it is, because I actually think it's a really well written video, and it's actually pretty funny. But
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, there's actually nothing wrong with those videos we make.
No, there's not. They're pretty damn good.
They're just like, they become like unfulfilling at a point.
Yeah,
where it's like you want to do something else.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean that you're gonna 100% drop that style of content immediately, but it just means you're gonna put the feelers out and do some other stuff, see how that goes. That's
exactly.
Beauty of content creation and running your own channel, I guess, is you got no cunt telling you need to do this, you need to do that. Well, I guess you do have people telling you need to do that, but you don't have to listen to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, like, you look at the way that I structured like my Saints Row video, and I'm like, I really liked what I did with that.
Yeah.
Because I have obviously subheadings and categories, but they're not like gameplay open world. Like,
no.
That sort of thing. It's like I talk about, what makes Saints Row. Then I move on to a section that is about the world, but it's, again, how it ties back into that original point of the reboot not being good and comparing it, like, directly to, the other one. Then I talk about the characters and how they're written. Then I talk about the story aspect. Then I talk about, like, the whole ending and secret ending and stuff. And it just kind of, like, flows really nicely.
Obviously, it does work. It's a structure that works, like, talking about, most of the aspects of a game. But it's something that you don't always have to do, and that's okay to do as well.
Yeah, for sure. Unless, of course, like there are certain instances where you might write a script in that style, and it makes sense because every single subheading, like, you're not just doing it so that you've covered it, you're doing it because you genuinely have something to say about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, a totally different thing. Like my AC1 video, it's not structured like that. It's like it goes through in chronological order. But, I do talk about every element of the game, but that's because I have so much to say about every element of the game. It makes sense.
It feels right.
And it works. And I think you can apply the same to like H-Bomber Guy's video on Deus Ex. He does talk about he talks about like gameplay, level design, structure, and pacing, and all of those like elements that you'd normally touch upon. But it's like it all plays back into the central idea of the video, and like it makes sense. It's not just to review a segment out of context. It's like it links into context, the previous and the next one. Like it's relevant. Yeah, exactly. So there's that. That's it's gonna be fun to explore new territories. Yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Right. For sure. What do we have to talk about today? Well, we have a few topics. We have a few major things that have happened since last episode. So last episode we talked about PlayStation and that event, because that event happened. It was a little bit underwhelming. But since then, we've had a couple of events have happened. Summer Games Fest happened, followed by the Xbox event with the Starfield Direct that was tagged to it. So I don't know if you've seen them or seen any sort of like recaps or summaries or anything. You've not seen anything? Okay. All I know about is Fable, Starfield, and that's it. In terms of the Xbox stuff, that's basically it. Well, this is good, because this is what we do on this podcast, is you know nothing and I tell you everything. So that works. It's no different from As Always podcast, where Tyler would know nothing and I would tell him everything. I've filled the role of Big T. Yeah, that's just what I'm good at. It's what we do. But yeah, Summer Games Fest, I think most of it wasn't like a great show. It was a very fine show. There was like, some nice little things that were shown there. I can't remember what they were, but there were some definitely nice little things. Some random indie game where you play as a dust particle rolling through a bigger field of dust particles. That sounds like the type of thing Xbox would announce. Honestly, it kind of sounds pretty good. It probably would be great, to be honest, actually. Yeah. But the major things that were at Summer Games Fest that I want to talk about was, the first one was Lies of P. Lies of fucking P. Obviously, we've seen for a while, but the new demo just recently came out. Yeah. Which I played. You've probably not played it. I've not played it, no. No. But it was fun. It was a cool demo. I really liked it. I thought it had some nice world building. It's obviously very much, it's not doing anything groundbreaking because it is a Souls-like game. It's probably the best looking Souls copy I've seen. It works. Like, what they're doing makes sense and it works. Like, the thing that I always look for in like a Souls-like is, how does it take that formula and apply it to its narrative and themes? Because that's very important in Dark Souls. Like, it doesn't just play the way that it plays for no reason. It plays that way because it's like married to the the story and the essence of the world. It's like an oppressive atmosphere. Like, it's meant to feel oppressive because you're just a little fucking undead cunt in this universe full of gods. Like, you're meant to feel inconsequential. And the whole aspect of like, you're going to die a million times, but eventually you're going to overcome it. Like, that's all part of the experience. And I think Lies of P does that in a cool way because you're playing as a puppet, obviously, because it's Pinocchio. Oh, yeah, I didn't even put two and two together, to be honest. So like, the world that you're living in has been overrun by... It's a really cool idea for a story and a concept for the world, because... Like, you do a lot of these stories where the world has fallen to AI, and it's like, that's sort of the story they're telling, but it's obviously not AI because it's like robot puppets, but they've gained sentience and they've overthrown humanity, sort of thing. But you are a human. No, you're not a human. You're Pinocchio, so you're a puppet, but a puppet that has humanity. So you're the one that's gonna try and like, combat this threat. Because you've got the abilities and the strength of a puppet, but the heart of a human, sort of thing. I see. Okay, that's quite interesting, actually. Which is quite cool, and they've worked in like Pinocchio's lies into the story. Obviously, it's Lies of P, but like the way Pinocchio can't lie. Does he get a bigger nose? He doesn't get a bigger nose, sadly. Okay, that's fine. Would have been cool to see him get a bigger nose. Not just like a longer nose, just like the whole thing grows.
Maybe he'll get
equally.
a bigger nose in the DLC.
Maybe he will get a bigger nose in the DLC. I fucking hope so, because I'll be disappointed if he doesn't. But no, it's cool. There's some really cool elements to it, some cool mechanics. It's nice to like read the little notes and stuff and descriptions about, you know,
it's got
stuff
a very
that's happened.
Bloodborne-y atmosphere, but I guess that's what they were going for.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of Bloodborne, but
fine.
it definitely plays more like Dark Souls than Bloodborne.
It looks like it, because obviously there's no like trick weapons or anything like that Bloodborne had, and it's got
there's
dodge
also
rolling.
It does have dodge rolling,
and obviously Bloodborne had the dash,
and it doesn't have like you don't regain health on hits or anything like that.
Okay.
And it has very accessible backstabs too.
I see. What about, is there magic?
There is no, but you have this this secondary like ability that is tied to like your left arm, which can be replaced with different things. So in the demo, I had the default, which is like a sort of like an uppercut that's like a powerful punch that kind of like can stagger an enemy.
I see, yeah.
And then you can pick up, once you get to like the home base area, you can pick up this like grapple hook that will like pull enemies closer to you.
I see. So it works like the
cool.
Shinobi prosthetic from Sekiro. Actually, you could get your left arm was prosthetic, and you can have Shinobi tools put into that prosthetic arm, so you could use a certain few abilities. So that's where they must have got the inspiration from that from, which is pretty cool, to be fair. I mean, I like having a secondary ability that you can use instead of just mashing R1 or whatever it is to fight. Like, you have something else to sort of make those combat encounters, I guess, flow a little bit better.
Yeah. You also have like this thing you build up. I forget what it's called, but there's this like thing you build up by dealing damage, and you can use it to do this special parry move defensively, or a special attack move offensively, depending on which one you choose to use.
So it's like a
that
gauge
can be really
you
useful
can build
against
up.
bosses. Yeah, and I found it really cool when I was fighting the first boss that's in the demo, like using the special parry move when it comes in for an attack. It was just very fun. And that was good.
Maybe
overall,
maybe I'll play the demo.
it was really cool, and it plays well. Like, it feels responsive, it feels good. Like, it's well polished, you know, as you'd expect from what one of these games needs to be. So I thought that was good. It was overall cool. It's a fun demo.
Maybe I'll give the game a chance, because I'm very dubious about Souls-like games.
No, yeah, for sure.
Because obviously, From Software is my god. I look up to them as a god. I pray to them every night.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
And like, the Souls games are so fucking special that it's like anyone else that tries that and tries to take that formula, to me, is almost like heresy almost. But
yeah, well, it's always going to be derivative.
Yeah,
in one way or another.
They created a new genre, so it's like, I mean, that style of game doesn't belong to them anymore. It belongs to the video game, like, developers. Like, they can choose to go down that route with the game if they want to. And it seems like, you know, if they've added the whole Pinocchio aspect to it and stuff, and there's like a bit of a story going on, they'll, you know, they've made it their own almost. So I'll give it a chance. I'll probably get very into it, most likely, because after a while I'll forget that it's not even a From Software game, and I'll just be like, oh, it's fucking great.
Yeah,
You know how much I love my hard bosses and stuff, so I probably will get into it.
Yeah, it's definitely good, and I think, like, it's with Lies of P, it's a bit more difficult to overlook the, like, oh, this is very clearly inspired by Dark Souls, Bloodborne, like, because it looks very similar, whereas you look at, like, something like Code Vein, looks completely different, but it's still Souls-like, and, like, that's a really good game.
Oh, there's another game that's really similar to Dark Souls. I fucking forgot what it's called. Souls-like clone. Mortal Shell, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, I played that on Game Pass. It's fucking shit.
Looks super depressing.
Oh, it just feels like shit to play. Like, I tried it and I was like, it just feels like just sluggish, and no, I didn't like that.
Yeah, it's got a cool art style, but yeah, I don't know much about it other than what it looks like, to be honest. But that's definitely a Souls copy.
But I think you look at Code Vein, Jedi Survivor again is, you know,
That's
Souls-like.
true. Yeah, that's very true. I forgot about that.
And I think that handles it well. And, you know, a game like Tunic, about the little fox.
Oh, Tunic looks really cool. You were telling me about that before.
Yeah, which is, again, you know, Souls-like.
Is it like
different?
Is it like a roguelike?
No, it's way more Souls-like.
Oh, okay. Tunic. I reckon I'll probably play it at some point. It looks pretty cute. Could you get? Is it PC only?
Don't think so. It's Xbox. It's on Game Pass, I think.
Motherfucker, I'm not playing it then. It's fucking Xbox.
No, it's on PC as well.
It's on PlayStation. These motherfuckers.
No, it's not on PlayStation.
I guess
it's
that's how every Xbox fan feels when a new banger comes out on PlayStation. I've got an Xbox though. I mean,
literally play it.
Yeah, but look, I like getting trophies, alright.
Yeah, well, you can't. Just play it because it's good.
I mean, I won't be able to do that with Starfield either, so, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Tunic's really good. It's like, it's got roguelike elements, and it's got, like, Zelda sort of exploration-y elements, but it's also, you know, heavily Souls-like as well. And that's, like, it was just really good. It was a really cool game that handled, like, the Souls-like aspects of it really cool.
Just a nice breath of fresh air. You know? Everything these days is hyper-realistic and crazy and, like...
Yeah.
Combat oriented. I guess it is probably still combat oriented, but a lot of games are like very gritty and realistic. Yeah. It's nice to have a game where it's just like a cartoon little dude running about.
Yeah, and it's got like a really nice story. Like, it definitely uses the Souls like sort of storytelling methods of like the game has like barely any dialogue, and when it is, it's in like an alien language, and you sort of pick up on the story just by what's happening around you more than like through dialogue, which I think is really nice.
That is cool.
And you also, as you go around the world, you pick up, because I even went and got the secret ending because I just really liked it so much, was that you go around the world and you pick up these little pages of like a video game manual, like a retro video game manual, and as you pick them up, it explains things. So like, you'll pick up an item and it'll tell you what it is, but it's in an alien language, so you have no idea what it does. But like, if you have the corresponding page, it'll give you instructions and explain what it does. And it's just really cool. Like, you pick it all up out of order and you slowly piece together this manual, and it pieces together the story and what you're doing. So it's like, you'll do something and then you'll learn sort of what it was after the fact, and you'll be like, oh, now I understand why I did this and how it linked to that and why this happened as a consequence in the world. And it's just really nice. It's just really well structured.
Yeah. How long is it? I assume it's not like a very long game.
No, it took me about I want to say 8 hours maybe.
That is not bad at all, is it?
Something like that.
You can't turn your nose up at a nice little tight experience like that.
Yeah, it was very cool. And most of that playtime, honestly, well, not most of it, but a large chunk was me going around trying to get the secret ending.
Yeah. Most of it. The game's actually like an hour long, and the rest of the 7 hours is you just running around looking for pages.
Yeah, well, I reckon it was like 5-6 hours was just the main content.
Yeah.
The rest of that time, like, 2-3 hours was me
exploring,
collecting stuff and trying to get all the stuff for the secret ending, which I thought was kind of worth it.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, there's that. So that's Liza P.
Yeah, that's the Liza P chat. Is Tunic.
The other thing we got from Summer Game Fest was the big reveal at the end, which was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth got a new trailer.
Ooh, did I watch that? Did I watch it?
I mean, you retweeted it.
Yeah. I watched it. Yeah, I did. It looks fucking sick.
Yeah. I want to know your thoughts on it, because obviously you're coming at it from a very different perspective.
Well, I recognise some of the moments in it. Well, not the moments, but the areas specifically. Like that big pod room where Sephiroth's standing at the top of the stairs.
Oh yeah, Nibelheim.
Yeah. I remember that room. I remember Tifa in cowgirl outfit with the sword, but I don't remember why she's doing that, because we haven't got to that bit yet, I assume.
Yeah, you got to for context. When we played through on Horsey and Fox, we just finished the first trip to the Gold Saucer. So we finished we did the Gold Saucer, and we did
with that cat.
With Kate Sith. You meet Kate. Yeah, we've met Kate Sith, and we finished Barrett's arc in Corel.
Yeah.
That's how far we got. So we hadn't done Cosmo Canyon yet. And
I assume there was a fair amount left of the game as well.
There was loads. There's 3 discs.
3.
Yeah, we hadn't even finished the first disc yet. So
fucking Christ.
Yeah, there was a lot left, but we did do the first when Cloud recites what happened at Nibelheim 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of this trailer shows that stuff. But overall, so what did you think of the trailer overall, like all the stuff that you got to see and whatnot?
It's going to be cool to see another aspect of the Final Fantasy VII universe in the remake, because obviously the first is just in Midgar, like, for the whole thing. to see the rest of the world and like the chocobos and like the forests and all the cool stuff that exists out there. It's going to be an interesting side of seeing like Final Fantasy VII opposed to just knocking about in Midgar for the whole thing. Obviously, don't know how accommodating to the story it's going to be for me, but don't care. I just want to see Cloud doing cool shit and Aerith making funny comments and Tifa being Tifa.
Well, I'm sure you will get those things. I'd be shocked if you didn't.
Yeah,
get those
exactly.
things.
And that's all I want. That's all I need. And then I'll see what it's like. I'll see how the story is. Because I mean, they have said like, oh, you can play it. Don't worry, you can play it without playing the original.
They have said that.
I don't know how trustworthy
They've certainly
Square
said
Enix
that.
are
Yeah.
with things like that.
They're not trustworthy at all. They're fucking
the
liars.
same company
is what they
that
are.
spoils their fucking games in their own trailers, so I can't trust them for a lot.
I will say though, that trailer was one of the best trailers I think I've ever seen for something. Like just the pacing of it, the way it was structured, the music, the way they have like little voice lines overlaying bits, and it just gets you asking questions. You're like, what is happening here? Like, especially for someone that's obviously played the original multiple times. Well, not multiple times. I've watched it through multiple times. I've played it through once.
Yeah.
But the whole compilation, replayed remake several times. I'm very well acclimated to Final Fantasy VII, and watching that trailer, it just got me thinking like, what is happening? Like, I have no clue what is going on. I am just, it's gonna be interesting to see where they take this, and it's crazy because most of the trailer takes place, like from Midgar to I think the latest point they show is Cosmo Canyon, which is just after where we did. We did on Horsey and Fox. So there's so much that they're not showing, and there's no way this game doesn't cover at least the ending of disc 1, but it's got to go into disc 2 because there's so much of the game left.
They're doing a trilogy, aren't they?
Yeah, but if the first game, if Remake is just Midgar, this game, like, you can't have the third game be disc 2 and 3, because how are you going to do that? Like, Rebirth has to be the rest of disc 1 and then at least like half of disc 2.
Yeah, like at the very least.
Which means there's so much that we haven't seen, if that's the case, as to like how they're going to handle all of those elements.
Good, because I mean, they need to do more of that, especially with fucking Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, they do. Which is why I think it's such a good trailer, is that, we don't see a great deal in it, which I think is nice, but there's just enough to get you thinking. Like, you get to see Yuffie, you get to see, Red 13 gameplay, which was great. You get to see, like what it looks like walking up towards Junon. You get to see Bugenhagen, which obviously you don't know who
Fuck is that?
Yeah, but when you see like all the planets moving around and it's like a CGI scene, you got the old guy.
I even remember that.
That's like a major moment in the OG of like understanding the live stream as a concept.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Mako.
It was just a great trailer, and it's it leaves even me thinking, what are they going to do with this? And I'm still apprehensive because I'm still like, oh god, I'm just worried as to how well this is going to follow. It's not even just about following the events of the original game. Like I understand it's not doing that. Like, they're gonna take it differently. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I just wonder, like, by doing that, are they gonna disregard the themes that made Final Fantasy VII so strong and resonate so strongly with me? Are they gonna go in a totally different direction that's just gonna give it a different meaning?
Guess what we can do is find out. But it's good when remakes do that, though. When they take the core aspects, the core idea of the original, and then almost create something new out of it. It's like that's what
I agree.
Resident Evil 4 remake has done. Like, it's so different from the original, but also very familiar.
Yeah, and that's my biggest hope from 7 remake, is that I don't need it to retread the plot one for one. That's just not necessary. But I do need those themes to be intact, because otherwise, why is it called Final Fantasy 7?
That's true.
If it's not about the same thing Final Fantasy 7 is about, like, at its very core, which is something they absolutely could do. I'm just a bit apprehensive just based on the compilation. And
I mean, you've not had a good experience with fucking Crisis Core, so...
blimey. No, Crisis Core, Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, they're all fucking terrible.
That's the only thing I know about Crisis Core is that fucking line. I don't even know what that means. It's just gobbledygook to me.
Yeah, but it's it's one of those things. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, I appreciate that Zach was absolutely not in this trailer, which is great. I just didn't need to see his fucking face. So that's
he'll be
great.
in the game though. He'll definitely be in it, surely.
He will. Well, he will. He was in the first trailer. He was also in.
Go.
He's also in Remake too.
He is. He shows up in that scene where there's loads
at the
of
very end. Yeah, he fights
people.
all the soldiers. Yeah.
And he
yeah,
does
the
them
price
all
of
in 'cause
freedom is
I'm a
steep.
soldier.
So there's that. But yeah,
See how it turns
we'll
out.
We'll see how it turns out. We certainly will. We certainly will.
We've got both sides of the coin here, to be fair, because you've got someone who's very familiar with the compilation, someone who's only played like less than half of the original, the OG Final Fantasy VII. So
yeah,
I'm honestly interested to see how I almost just want to wait to play the original until after all of these remakes have come out, just like a social experiment, just to see how I react to it without prior knowledge.
As much as I really want you to play the OG first, because I want you to get Final Fantasy VII before you're given Final Fantasy VII in a way that it's like could be totally different.
Yeah.
At the same time, like, I don't think many people know as little about Final Fantasy VII as you do, and also haven't played it, like, and have no intention to play it. So, like,
Well, I want to play it because I
Rebirth,
did have fun, but like, the idea of playing the remakes without playing the original is interesting to me.
It will be interesting to see how much they like, because I'm wondering, like, obviously, like, they've said to people like, oh, it would be really, you should probably play Crisis Core before playing Rebirth, which to me is fucking insane as a concept, because Crisis Core ruins Final Fantasy VII. Not just like ruins it as in like it's shit. I mean, like, it's a spoiler. It spoils the game. It'd be stupid. But like, it'll be interesting to see you going into Rebirth and any of the big moments, like how they translate some of the stuff that happens in Disc 1 and Disc 2.
Yeah.
Like, it would just be weird for you to finish the remake trilogy, and that's what you think Final Fantasy VII is, and like,
and then I can
whether
go
it
back
makes
and actually
sense.
fully complete the original and go, I can either go, that was so much better, or that was like, I can see where the remake was going, or that was shit. I don't know. I can't imagine myself completing the entirety of OG Final Fantasy VII, and my takeaway is that was shit. I just can't imagine that happening.
It's gonna be interesting to see how closely they follow it, and just to see what that experience is like for someone that just doesn't know what happens in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, that's what interests me.
Yeah.
And when it comes out, we can come back on here and we can talk about it.
Yeah. That'll definitely be interesting to see. I mean, when the remake trilogy comes to a close and you finally play Final Fantasy VII OG, I'll be 30 something.
I mean, that's if the Horsey and Fox pod is even going at that point. If it's got the legs for 7 years.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, God.
But, we'll see.
We'll
see
cross
how
that
that
bridge
goes.
when we come to it.
Moving on, the Xbox event was next.
Fable Starfield.
We've got a few things. So, Fable, obviously, we got a trailer. What did you think of the tone of that trailer?
I thought it did pretty well. It's got what's that dude's name? Something Idawadi. Is that his name? What's his name?
Something like that. Sounds similar to
I like
what
that
it is,
guy.
probably.
I like that guy. He's a funny English comedian and funny guy.
And that's what Fable does that a lot. You get the classic English actors in Fable. That's classic.
I hope Reva shows up.
Jonathan
again
Ross
as well.
and Stephen Fry. Is that his name?
Stephen Fry.
Yeah. John Cleese.
Yeah,
as
there was
well,
fucking
was in
loads
Fable
of
3.
lads. They should have had Ricky Gervais. They should put him in. Actually, no, they shouldn't put him in the new one.
He could show up and be like, "Fuck the Christians, and trans people." Trans people. They just don't like to be challenged by comedy.
Okay, it's weird though, because this is kind of a different avenue of conversation. We'll come back to Fable, but it's weird because during the XFM podcasts, trans people come up at certain points in that podcast, and he defends trans people quite adamantly.
I think it's because Ricky Gervais is very much a champion. of that sort of stuff. Like, he is very progressive. He just jokes about everything. Like, his comedy isn't what he actually thinks.
No.
And whether you agree or disagree that you should be making those jokes at the expense of, particular minority groups, is valid if you think that that's wrong and bad. That's valid. I cannot disagree with you there.
Yeah.
But I think that Ricky Gervais himself, I don't think he hates trans people.
No,
if he
I think
does, I'm willing to be stand corrected. But
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think that his comedy just revolves around mocking every
being
person
inflammatory.
imaginable.
I mean, he's admitted many times that he likes being annoying. He likes annoying people because he just finds it funny.
Yeah.
Which I guess at that point it's like you're just annoying people. So it's
there is a certain element of it. I mean, I think Ricky Gervais is pretty funny. Most of the time, I think he's funny. Like, he's in, and you look at some of the stuff that he's written in, like, every show that he does that, is a comedy show. At its core, there's also, like, genuinely very moving and emotional, like, human stories.
Like season 1 of Afterlife. Even season, I haven't watched season. There's a third season now. I've watched
There
it.
is.
I watched season 1 and 2, and they were pretty tear-jerking because he's a pretty good writer for, like, emotional stories and stuff. I mean, even Derek made me cry. Like, that's how.
Yeah, I got the same out of The Office.
Oh, I actually never watched the original Office, the UK Office. I've never watched it.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
But it's so, like, it's just great. Like, the end of the Christmas special was like, it just, it got a fucking tear out of me. Like, it was just so good.
Yeah.
And I think Ricky Gervais is, it's a complex issue because it's the issue of, like, even if he doesn't mean harm, there's an element of it's still causing harm, and it's like, then it's like, oh yeah, I get that argument, like I get it, but I also think it's more complex than just don't joke about anything like this, because it's like, I don't know, it's
who you are, the way in which you do it, your audience, like, there's so many different facets of making a joke about a certain audience or a certain, like, group of people. It's about reading the room, I guess, on a global scale.
And I think I would say in the current climate of, like, trans discussions, I think it would be better to not make those jokes, because even if you don't mean it and you're just making it as a joke, there's a lot of people that will go, oh fuck yeah, Ricky Gervais hates trans people just like me, fuck the transies,
and then he'll become like this figurehead of, like, anti-trans, and it's like,
exactly, and it happens to a lot of people, and I think I would personally be like, probably just stay away from that, honestly.
But obviously Ricky Gervais' personal moral compass is he has his beliefs about comedy and what he can joke about, and people can tell him to not joke about stuff, but he's within his right to continue, if that makes sense.
It's
a slippery slope, but that's the Ricky Gervais part of the podcast.
Segment.
Back to Fable.
Fable.
I actually thought they got the tone pretty good, to be honest.
I did too.
Takes itself seriously enough that it felt like, this is the next big installment in Fable, but there was also a nice bit of comedy in there, a bit of sarkiness, bit of classic, like, British wit. It just felt Fable-y, and it made me quite happy, because I was expecting it to just be the Saints Row equivalent of Fable.
Yeah, exactly. I think the only thing that I didn't like was the last line of the trailer.
Oh, I don't remember
the bit where, like, what is it? Hang on, let me go find it real quick, because it made me go, I don't know about that. But, like, everything else was good. Let me find it. Fable trailer. What is it? What happens? It's like she's cut off saying fuck or something.
Oh. And then in Fable, like, the fall from grace in Fable 3 of that guy saying, "Great big giant bosoms," and now look at us. We used to be a fucking nation.
Oh yeah. So what happens is she's grabbed by the giant, and then she looks at the camera and says, "Oh fuck," but is cut off before she can finish saying fuck. And I'm like, that I don't know.
Just let her say fuck.
It's let her say fuck, but also don't break the fourth wall and have her look into the camera, because I'm like,
that's true.
That's a bit Saints Row-y. That's a bit.
The Prince never did that in Fable 3. Like the protagonist, and they never did that. It's they don't know the audience is there, but they are a little bit goofy. That's what Fable is. Don't be giving me Deadpool Fable. All right, I don't.
You can have. It's like you have the devs sometimes speak to the audience through the game, but the characters, like, aren't in on that. Like their world is very much their world. Like, I don't know about that bit, but everything else I thought was tonally pretty on point.
It did feel like Fable. It felt good. I was pretty happy with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing gameplay instead of just these cutscenes, which they were running an engine, weren't they? They were actual cutscenes.
Yeah, they were. There was a couple of moments where it was gameplay, like, but not real gameplay, like not like raw gameplay. It was like
yeah, I know what you mean, like animated to look like gameplay, running in engine, but not how gameplay is going to look.
Yeah, it's like the gameplay will obviously, you'll have a camera behind the character, you'll have the, you know, the UI, it'll be less, you know,
cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that, but like one of the animation directors or one of the people that worked on animating said like, oh, this is one of the combat animations that I worked on. So it's like, okay, so that is actually what the game will look like in motion.
Okay.
But it'll be, you know, not
looking forward to
as trailery.
Gives me a fucking reason to use my Xbox, because Xbox has not given me many good reasons to boot this shit up. I've been using my Xbox solely for the past few months to just charge my vape. That is the only reason I turn it on. And to play like an odd game of MCC.
Phil Spencer probably loves that, because, you know,
cross media.
Like, you fucking bought one. It's the most expensive vape charger in the world.
Well, that's true. They probably don't care as to why I bought it. To be honest, I mean, I bought it to play Halo Infinite at 60 FPS. Halo Infinite turned out to be fat shit, and now I've got this console that I fucking bought it from scalpers. Like I wanted it so bad before fucking Halo Infinite came out that I bought it at a massively inflated price.
Oh, so Phil Spencer will be mad at you then, because you didn't even buy it from Xbox.
Yeah, fuck you, Phil Spencer. Fucking make better games, you prick. Stop fucking pushing Game Pass, you cunt.
That's the thing, right? This Xbox event was actually really fucking good. It was actually really great. There was a lot of good stuff here, and it shocked me that Xbox had the best show out of all of the shows we've seen.
They rarely do.
Because Fable looked great, but then you move on and you've got, like, obviously, you know, this next one is multi-platform. It's not obviously, you know, but it adds to why the show was good, which is the remake of Persona 3, Persona 3 Reload, which is coming out.
Didn't they release like a Xbox port for that? Everyone said was shit.
They did release a port,
and now they're remaking it. Fucking
and they're
hell.
releasing a full remake, which looks like Persona 5, but it's Persona 3, which is nice.
I still need to play Persona 5.
And I think one of the core things about Persona 3's remake that I really appreciate about it, that Flash was telling me about, is the way that the people that are making this are approaching it is very different from that of Final Fantasy VII Remake, in the Final Fantasy VII Remake is
really
trying to take... Yeah, it's not a real remake, but also they're trying to take all of the elements of Final Fantasy VII, so the original, the compilation, the movies, the books, all of these additional elements. Mm-hmm. They're trying to take all these things and make it just one unanimous project, which I get it. That's fine if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But the issue with that is that so much of that stuff is contradictory to Final Fantasy VII, both in universe and just thematically.
Yeah.
And I think that what it ends up making is a bit of a mess. Whereas the Persona 3 Reload team, and particularly the director, has talked about the way that... So Persona 3 had a couple of other versions of it. So it had Persona 3, the original. It had Portable, which was... DS. Added a female protagonist, and I think it was DS. I'm not sure. But it added, like a female protagonist, which had a completely different story and
get
was
that
separate.
Fucking wokeness out of my fucking games.
Yeah, I agree.
Bloody
Get the forest
women.
out of my games. I mean, Fable had a lot of forest in the trailer.
I can't believe it.
But and then the other version of Persona 3 was Persona 3 FES, which again added like a totally different element, like a whole new expansion sort of section into the game, which a lot of people consider to sort of not really fit with Persona 3 and to be sort of a bit different and again change things. Mm-hmm. And so to make a version of Persona 3 with all three versions where they all sort of come together would just be a mess. Like, it just wouldn't work properly. And that's what the director's saying, is that there are certain elements that they'll take from those versions that will enhance Persona 3, but what he wants Persona 3 Remake to be is a game that stays true to the heart and soul of that original game, because he finds it very special and very important, and he wants to translate that to new audiences, rather than just making this version which is just an amalgamation of every single Persona 3 re-release, which I think's really admirable, and I like that.
That is
as
a cool decision.
An approach to it.
Yeah. Because if they did have all those other versions of Persona in there, they could market that as like, this is the greatest Persona 3 experience you can have. Look at this.
All this bonus content that was added over the years, but they're not doing that.
That's cool. It means they can focus on the core experience.
Yeah, and this is going to be the truest Persona 3 experience.
Yeah.
Ideally, hopefully.
That's what remakes should be.
That's really cool.
That is cool.
And talking about Atlas, who make Persona, they also announced their new game as well
New
at
IP?
the Xbox showcase. Yeah, new IP from the guy. I think the lead director guy is the guy who worked on Persona 3, 4, and 5. So right away after Persona 5, they started work on this, which is called Metaphor Re Fantazio.
That sounds mental.
That's how you say it.
Classic fucking Japanese developers making these mental games. What's it called?
And it takes Metaphor Re Fantazio, and it takes elements from Persona, but also it implements new things. It's very traditional fantasy with a lot of like little sci-fi elements in there too. It's got similar elements like Persona has with the daily sort of going about and stuff. You got your calendar in the corner and things like that. But it's a sort of new IP from the creator, or not creator, but the director of the most recent Persona games that people know so well. It looks really cool.
Is that a woman's floating head? Oh no, it's not. She's just low down on the art. I thought her head was like on the floor.
Oh, you've googled it, right?
Yeah. I was looking at some pictures of it. Oh, main character has heterochromia. Epic.
Yeah.
Epic moment. Looks
cool. Very cool. It looks cool. I think it looks great, especially like having played Persona, you can see a lot of the elements where you're like, oh, that's very Persona-y. But it's also very new and different. I really like the screenshot of the guy riding his hover sword through a city.
Hover sword
looks sick. Looks so sick.
Hover sword. Let's see if it fucking comes up. You motherfucker's not showing me the hover sword.
It's if you just search up the game, it's like one of the first screenshots. It's just him. Hang on, let me copy the
Metaphor Re Fantazio.
And I'll send you the link. I sent you the link there.
Oh yeah, it's fucking sweet. Yeah, show me the image. Fucking hover sword. Oh, that looks really nice though. The environment looks super cool.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a cool game. So
got like a little fairy woman, little Tinkerbell woman.
Yeah, little fairy woman with you. The UI looks fucking mad.
True, that so nice cool. Little like bottom right like artwork. Yeah, it shows the dude's face.
Yeah, and got, like, the pause menu and stuff where you've got like your skill items, equipment, party menu and stuff. Looks so cool.
I like how it says afternoon as well. It tells you what time of day it is. It tells you the fucking weather forecast, 27 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, exactly. It's very Persona.
That's very Persona.
Nice.
I was going to say, I've never even played Persona, but I know that it's got that sort of shit in it.
Yeah, looks really cool. I'm looking forward to that one.
We're always glad to see new IPs.
Yeah, and that looked very, very cool. I mean, talking about new IPs, one of the ones that was a little bit disappointing was Avowed.
Oh no, by Obsidian, no.
Which was when they first teased it. It looked like their answer to Elder Scrolls, but when they actually showed it off, it looks a bit more like Outer Worlds, but it's medieval. But there's also guns in it too. It just looks a bit shit.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen! The people that made Fallout New Vegas, the greatest RPG ever released, and now they're making Avowed.
Yeah, like, look, I could be wrong. It could come out and it could be great, but there's elements of it like that remind me of the things that I didn't love about the Outer Worlds, which is stuff like every planet looks fairly similar, just with a different color grading.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like a bunch of different areas that look very similar, and it's just like got a different color grading over the top, and it's like
the fuck is this
it's
article?
a bit whimsical and silly.
Avowed is basically Xbox's Elden Ring. What the fuck are you on about? Fucking
Xbox has Elden Ring.
Game
you can
Rant,
play it.
Yeah, how the fuck? Fucking Joshua Duckworth from Game Rant. You can fuck off. They'd be using Avowed and Elden Ring in the same sentence. You motherfucker.
But yeah, I don't know. It looks like a game. I don't know. It might be. We've not seen quite enough. The trailer was a bit underwhelming.
The thing that'd make me want to play it is if it had the same. I just don't think. Fallout New Vegas is so unique in the way its characters are created, and the way its story is told, and the way you can approach the world, that I just don't think anything Obsidian can make will ever reach that level. Like the conversations you can have with characters and the philosophies that are brought up, and I feel like those are thing. It was like lightning in a bottle. Fallout New Vegas, you just can't do that again. So it's like I'm not even going to expect that quality again, because it's impossible to recreate. Have you played New Vegas? You haven't, have you?
I still haven't played it yet. No,
I can't believe it. It's going to change.
I was going to play it at the start
world.
of this year, and then I just didn't, because I just didn't have time.
Yeah, well, wait until you have time, because it's one of those games where you want to really appreciate it. It's just there's like no part of that game that I think is like half-assed. It's all quality.
Yeah,
it's all so
I'm definitely
good.
going to play it. I just need to find the time. Maybe I'll do it. I usually like play a game over like sort of the Christmas period. Yeah, because I kind of take a bit of a break. I might do it then. But then also that'll be just after Starfield. Like, do I want to play another?
Yeah, true. That might even spoil the experience for you.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to wait a little bit longer. I don't know.
That's
we'll
fine.
see.
New Vegas is going nowhere, and it's getting no worse.
But
it's just brilliant.
Yeah, that's a little bit of Avowed. We also saw some more of Hellblade 2.
Hellblade, my favorite
not a
game
gameplay
series.
demo or anything, but a cutscene. You'll fucking everyone. People were bringing it up in chat when we were watching the trailer for Hellblade. Everyone was like, "What the fuck was George saying when he said
it's
Hellblade
not a
was
9
bad?"
out of 10. I still stand by it. It's not a 9 out of 10 game.
You're right. It's a 10 out of 10 game.
It's not that
You're
either.
Right.
With the gameplay I was witnessing in Hellblade, it is not worth a 9 out of 10. The story, visuals, acting can be as good as you like. If the core gameplay loop is not fun, it is not a 9 out of 10.
No, I agree, but I also think the gameplay gets a lot better. Like, it's actually really weird how Hellblade goes from being.
Why is the first half of the game shit then? That's not a 9 out of 10 either. It's not a 9 out of 10 either.
No, I would still say it's probably an 8 at the most, probably.
I will happily replay it. I still need to get around to it. I have intentions of replaying it. But
there are 10 out of 10 elements of the game, but it's not a 10 out of 10 game by any means.
Because if the fucking first 2 hours of the game weren't enough to keep me enthralled, then suck my dick. I mean, I was 17 as well, so I mean, I'm a different
the beginning
guy
is
now.
the beginning is also weak. Like I stuck with it because I was just like, I'm gonna stick with it. But if I wasn't streaming it, I probably would have checked out too. To be honest,
it really depressed me. But maybe
that's the point.
Maybe
like,
that's because I've formed. Not because. Maybe I've formed a better appreciation for depressing games now. So maybe I'll go back to it and be like, I really appreciate that now. But like at the time, I remember closing the game and thinking, thank God I've stopped playing that.
Yeah, no. I definitely feel that, and that's kind of what I think is so good about it though. Is like I definitely felt that when I was playing it. Like when I finished it, there was a sense of relief that it was over. But that's why I think it's just so good. I'm like, God, I've never played something that made me feel quite like that before.
Maybe I'll appreciate that feeling a little bit more now. You know, because I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love Dark Souls so much. When I first played Dark Souls 3, I was like, fuck me, this game depresses me, but it feels like a journey, so I'm gonna keep playing it. Like I would have to psych myself up for like an hour before playing Dark Souls 3 when I used to play it, because it scared me of how depressing it was.
Yeah, and it's as well. But the thing is with Dark Souls is you have that constant like egging on of like, oh, I just beat a boss. Okay, I can play for another hour.
Oh god,
like,
yeah. At least you've got that dopamine rush.
Like you feel like at your wit's end, and then you finally beat a boss, and you're like, I'll keep going for a bit, I guess. Yeah. Like, but with Hellblade, you don't have that.
Yeah,
like,
it's constant oppression, constant adversity, and it never gets better for her. She's just constantly going through it.
Yeah, and the ending is just really good, and it's just like, I can't wait to see what they do with the sequel. Like, and it looks graphically. Like,
it looks insane.
Insane.
It does look insane. Like that the first trailer I remember watching it when they announced Hellblade 2 or whatever it was. It did look really cool. Like I don't remember much of what happened in it, but I just remember thinking, wow, it looks good. I'll play it again for sure, and I'll probably be like, fuck it, I'll platinum it just to fucking show everyone, look, I've played your game.
The first one was on PlayStation, wasn't it?
Oh, the second one's not.
The second one's not. It's Xbox.
Classic
Xbox have got some bangers
buying
these days.
Fucking studios, not fucking cultivating their own. Oh, I'm gonna buy this fucking studio. It's fucking now it's fucking exclusive. Whereas PlayStation, they go, I'm gonna get this studio while they're small and build them up.
Xbox need to have their own platinums. Like that would be cool. Like if you had your own platinum achievement that you could get. That would be really cool.
Yeah, that would,
I'd like
that would
a
be
lot.
cool. They should do. They could call it like an Xbox Gold achievement or something like that. They'd probably come up with their own stupid name for it. I don't know why I'm so anti-Xbox. I don't actually even care that much. Like, you'd think I'd get really into like console wars debates. I actually don't care that much, but
that's funny.
It's the tribalism, man. It's the tribalism.
Yeah.
PlayStation have treated me right.
True, that's true. But that's Hellblade 2. We also got to see another game that looked cool was Clockwork Revolution. It's very Bioshocky.
Is that's not the one that's made by the creators of Bioshock, is it?
No, it's not. Who's it made by? Let me check. Let me fucking check. Where's the Exile or Inzile? That's what they're called. Inzile Entertainment.
Oh yeah, Clockwork Revolution does look very Bioshock fucking hell, it looks very Bioshock Infinity. Fucking Christ.
It does. And I think it looks pretty fucking cool, to be honest. I like
cool
it. They got
little, like weird mechanical dudes.
They got like a time sort of element, like time manipulation element to it.
Okay.
And being able to like reverse parts of the world and stuff.
Okay.
And alter, events so that it changes. So it feels similar to Bioshock Infinite in the different universes, but instead of it being different universes, it's like the same one. They just use time travel.
Different time. It looks interesting. We'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, looks pretty cool, but that's that. We also saw some more. We got a release date for Forza Motorsport, the reboot.
Yay!
Which is sick.
Forza Motorsport. Cool. If I was more into like traditional racing games, I would be down for it, but I just can't be bothered to play them.
Can't wait. I can't fucking wait for this. I'm so excited for this. It
beautiful.
looks sick, but also what I love about Forza, as opposed to other racing games,
like
is how it controls. Like, it's not like Forza Motorsport is this perfect blend for me between a racing sim and an arcade racer.
Yeah.
In the way that like you feel fucking good when you play a Forza game. Like you have so much control. Like it just feels good to drive. As
but
opposed
it can
to like
spin out quickly. Like if you're not on it, like it can still go wrong. But you do have a lot of control.
It's way more focused on like the action of racing, like that feeling.
Yeah.
Whereas a normal racing sim is more on the intricate details of like changing gear and slowing down and like I don't want to say they're boring because they're for a particular audience, but like Forza is always like it's so fun and action packed, and I like the motorsport side of it a lot more than Horizon because it doesn't have the annoying people that talk to you all the time, which I can't stand.
You've just joined the Horizon Club. You alright, mate?
Yeah, like they're all fucking cringe losers and I hate them.
They're all Cara Delevingne. I mean, she was in a Horizon game, actually. She was one of the fucking radio announcers.
But I like the motorsport because it's a bit more serious, a bit more grounded.
Yeah,
I like the career mode of like building up your cars and like tuning them and entering into these tournaments and stuff. Like I like that about it.
Nice bit of progression.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That's gonna be cool. Like earning money and stuff.
What are they gonna call the next one?
I don't know.
Motorsport 2. What are they gonna call it?
2, but with letters instead of a number.
Oh, it will be, won't it? It'll be fucking Roman numerals. Everyone's
maybe. I meant letters like
it was like
spelled
two.
out like the word 2.
Yeah.
But maybe they will do Roman numerals. Yeah.
Everyone's doing that. Fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare's fucking doing that. Oh,
that maybe do something like that. Yeah, who knows? But that looks sick. So that's cool.
Forza Motorsport. Sweet.
Yeah, looks very good. And then the last thing I've got here, other than Starfield written down, was City Skylines 2. Looks cool. Got a release date for that, coming out in October, I think.
Epic. Better than SimCity.
That looks cool. That looks very cool. And I'm excited for that.
Nice little fun bit of city building. You get to look after your little peoples in your city and just hope that there's no terrorism.
Hopefully, that is a great worry
actually
of mine.
That's actually the new feature of City Skylines 2 is that if you don't look after your people, they will commit acts of terrorism against you, and that's just how it is.
That's in the game. I can't wait.
Banger, game of the year.
But the obviously final thing from the Xbox event, the big thing was
Starfield. What we all care about, Starfield.
Yes. Did you watch the direct?
No, I didn't.
Did you see anything?
I saw a screenshot of man walking through town wearing a cowboy hat. It looks like Fallout New Vegas.
It was really good. The direct was really good. It took me from like a sort of apprehensive like intrigue. I was like, I was interested in Starfield, but they like the stuff they showed. I was like, holy shit!
Was Todd Howard there?
Todd Howard was there. He did the commentary on it. But it feels like the successor to Skyrim, the game that's like Fallout 4 was it was Fallout 4. Fallout New Vegas was shit.
What? New Vegas was shit? What are you on about?
I mean, Fallout 76, not New Vegas.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of people that play 76 say it's better now, but yeah, I can't imagine
fuck
it's...
them.
Look, I can't imagine it's the cultural reset that, like, Skyrim was, It's
no,
like
not at all. It's probably
moment.
Look, they've probably made it a bit better, and yeah, you could probably have a bit of fun in it.
True.
Fuck
I mean,
you, I'm not playing it.
Yeah, I mean, people's standards are so low. It's like they'll fix one tiny thing and people will say the game's fucking amazing now, right?
They added NPCs. It's actually fucking so good now.
They added a fundamental part of Fallout. It's good now.
Are the NPCs like compelling? Do you love them? Do you care about them?
No,
do they give you quests that are like incredibly interesting, and like the dialogue options are like branching in a way that allows you to control? Like, is it good, or is it just a thing that is in the game?
It's probably just a classic MMO NPC that just regurgitates the same 3 lines, and you hand in some items to them at the end of the day, and that's it.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's amazing. I don't know. I'm not going to make any claims, all right? But it's shit.
Well, in Vegas, that was shit. I was flabbergasted, honestly. Somebody clip that.
Nobody take that out of
James
context.
saying
Don't
that Fallout 4 was alright, and then Fallout New Vegas is shit.
Fuck. But Fallout New Vegas didn't have Codsworth, did it?
That is true. It did have those little handy machines, though. It did have them.
Yeah, true.
But it didn't have Codsworth.
They float around and stuff.
They do.
But yeah, Starfield looks insane. Like, the stuff they showed, I just was blown away by all of it. Like, from the ship customization to the character creator and backstory and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The way that you seeing someone like in space and then walking around the interior of their ship, and like you can go to like spaceports and you can hire crew to work on your ship, and there's loads of different like squad members and like companions that you can get to come on your on your ship.
They
and
get
they have
to
their own
come
quests
on you.
and stuff. They get to come. I mean, sometimes they do, because there's romance options in
Whoa!
this game with your companions.
Companions?
Yeah, so maybe you can get them to do just that. If
Someone
you want,
make Lydia mod,
choose.
please.
I'm sure that will happen.
I need to
at
marry
some point.
Lydia. Finally.
It just looks so fucking cool. Like, base building, like you see someone building a base and they're like walking around this base they built on this planet, and there's all these cool things like a little coffee table with a newspaper on it. I'm like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, I love that.
And it just looks so cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll have to watch I'll have to watch the thing. How long is it?
45 minutes.
45 minutes? Fucking
Yep.
Christ.
It's a 45-minute direct, and I just didn't want it to end. I was fucking loving it. It was so good.
Crikey.
It was very cool. Just
I'm
so
sure
many
it'll be
cool
an
little
impressive
things in there.
game. I'm looking forward to it.
If they can pull it off, they can execute all these things that they're talking about. Like, it's just going to be like, it is going to be the next Skyrim. Like, it's one of those games where you're like, this is this generation's one of those.
They need to make sure that it
Skyrim
releases in fucking working order first. That's what I need them to do.
Well,
okay.
Todd Howard has said that that Starfield currently has the least bugs out of any Bethesda game so far.
Oh, so it's only got about 100,000. Okay, so it's okay. That means nothing to me, Todd.
No, it does mean nothing.
You've lied in the past, and you said it's just a feature, not a bug. What are you on about?
The thing with Starfield is, and the thing with Bethesda games is, they are buggy, but they're like the only games that I don't mind that much
fun
when they're buggy. Like, when Skyrim came out, was it fucked? Yeah, but was it great? Also, yeah.
Bang. I mean, it's still fucked to this day, but it's still
still fucked. You have to fix it with mods.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even endeavour to do that.
But it's fucking great. It's fucking great still. So,
yeah, it's just a banger.
So yeah, that's cool. And Starfield looks, stellar. Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Great
Nice.
stuff. And
Xbox did
I have a
bits.
video on it, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they did
Go
bits.
watch it.
And there was tons of other things they showed that I didn't include on my topics list, but they were just small little things.
Halo
that wouldn't have
Infinite
been worth
Season 4
really talking about.
announcement.
Yeah. What they finally added ranks. Halo has ranks
did.
now in the next update.
And they put infection
can't
or
believe it.
infected or whatever the fuck it's called.
They did do that too, yeah.
And they were waiting.
I'm
they were waiting to put it in
just
for a law reason or some bullshit like that. Yeah.
fuck that.
Yeah,
But
I believe you.
I am so excited that I can level up in Halo. Like, I might play Infinite again. Now I have fucking ranks. I probably won't.
Yeah,
but
and
like,
you'll get a rank and you'll go, what do I get awarded for this rank? Oh, nothing. Okay. Nothing for it. If you want to get armor, go in the store, buy the battle pass. That's your only two options. You can't progress otherwise.
Yeah, you're right.
So
maybe I won't play Halo.
The Halo game where customization is like paramount to the experience. It's like part of the DNA of Halo multiplayer, but no, you got to spend loads of fucking money if you want to do that.
Oh my goodness!
It's the platform for Halo for the next 10 years, boys. Oh wait, no, it's not. They realized it's shit, and they were like, no, we can't do that.
Have they backtracked on that?
Yeah, they're not releasing single player DLC for it anymore at all.
Oh right, yeah.
So they're probably just gonna do like Halo Finite. That'll be the next one.
Halo Finite.
It's like, this series don't have legs, boys. It's finite as fuck.
It's a finite story.
They just need to do one about Chief. We've talked about that. We've talked about that a few episodes ago. I think we talked.
We do talk about this every single episode.
We do. Yeah, it's because it burned me.
That.
It hurt me. You release Halo really 5 and then you come to me with Halo fucking Infinite on my fucking daughter's birthday. I don't know what that's even a reference to be honest.
Have you even watched? Yeah, I was gonna say you've definitely not seen The Godfather, have you?
No.
It's good. It's a good movie. I would recommend watching The Godfather.
People
it's
always
good.
say
I like it a lot.
That's a great film. Who's that? Scorsese? Did he make that?
No, it's Francis. Shit. Wait.
Francis Ngannou.
Godfather. Francis Ford Coppola. That's it.
Bagger. A good director.
Yeah.
One of my favourites that I love. I watch all of his films.
Yeah,
I don't know much about film.
He's good. Scorsese was Goodfellas.
Ah, yeah, the other big one. That's true.
Another mafia-based film. But yeah, those are our topics. The only thing we've got left is to talk about the 16 demo. And before we do that, I need to go splash myself with some cold water because it's fucking hot in here, and I'm gonna die.
Cut this section out.
Give me a second. I'll be back, folks. When I click my fingers, I'll be back. Okay, here we go. And I'm back, everyone.
Hey.
How you doing? That's not sweat. That's water.
He's a wet man.
I'm soaked. I'm drenched. But I
Sodden.
feel good. Back in the sauna of a room, though.
Back in the fucking sauna.
So, there you go. I'm just going to dab my face a bit, because that probably is annoying to look at, actually. Soaking, wet, dripping with water.
Absolute dripping gamer. That's not what you want.
We're good. But yes, okay. So, Final Fantasy 16. The demo came out. It's taken the gaming industry by storm.
It has.
And we've obviously both played it.
Yes,
so,
indeed.
At the top of the discussion, what are your initial thoughts? Well, okay, so before that, spoilers. We're going to talk spoilers.
Oh yeah, there's fucking spoilers, lads.
Obviously. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for the Final Fantasy 16 demo, prologue, it's the first 2 hours of the game.
Yeah.
Just don't watch this. Use the timestamps. Skip this bit. Anyway, yes. So thoughts on the demo overall as a opening to the game. What do you think?
I thought it was a bang. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I like the world of Valisthea. I like the introduction to all the characters like Clive and Joshua and their dad. I forgot his name. I don't remember his name, but he's a cool guy. Elwyn, the boy. He was very much sort of Ned Stark sort of character.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, they watched for dialogue scenes. They watched some Game of Thrones to sort of influence, and you could see the Game of Thrones influence in a lot of the scenes where they're talking about warfare or they're around a table and talking about stuff. It's very Game of Thrones-esque, which I thought was pretty fucking cool actually. Yes, it's a solid introduction to this new world. I think I'm super interested to figure out find out more about the dominance and the icons and different kingdoms that exist around the world, and to see how the world functions as well, because obviously we've got a little tiny view of the world map in the demo, and it's just a small area of it. I don't know if it's not a full open world, is it? It's hub based.
Yeah, it's got little regions that you visit that have explorable locations, and then you've got the like we saw with the castle that you're at and stuff. You can kind of wander around.
The Rosaria Castle, whatever the fuck it's called. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
the Duchy of Rosalith, whatever the fuck it is, I don't remember.
Oh, Rosalith Castle in the Duchy of Rosaria.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I like the real-time lore tab thing as well, or the active, whatever the fuck it's called. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, active time
lore. Well, that shit was so cool. I'll use that at every opportunity I could get, because the world is so interesting. I wanted to learn as much about it as I could. It tells you about the different kingdoms and, like, you know, the relationship between kingdoms, and, like, I don't know, the bit where you go into the swamp. It tells you about the goblins and, like, that area and stuff like that. It was very cool. I was enthralled by it, to be honest. Didn't want it to end when I was playing it.
I thought that was very, very cool. Some cool stuff there with the lore and stuff. I did like the active time lore.
Yeah. From like a gameplay standpoint as well, it's such a huge upgrade from 15. Oh my god, the 100%. Combat
I mean,
works.
You can tell because they, with the development on the combat, they got people from Platinum Games to help on it, who have worked on Nier Automata.
I see.
As well as people from the Kingdom Hearts team.
Yeah, boy!
And the combat director was someone who worked on Devil May Cry 5, which is another game that got really good.
Yeah, banging combat.
Response to the combat. So you can really feel that, for sure.
You can. It works. It felt good to play. And of course, you got like the Phoenix Blink ability, which felt really similar to Noctis's weird little blink ability he's got in in 15. It did feel very similar, but obviously way more sort of just fun to use. I don't have to use it to fucking recharge my magic whenever I'm out of ether. Just super annoying, just having to latch onto a point and just hang there like a pussy. It just feels so good to play. It's got a nice little dodging system. I like the dodging, how you can time it and it's almost like a perfect dodge, and you can riposte. Magic works a hell of a lot better. It's not some stupid item you put in your inventory and you can only use it a finite amount of times, and then you have to go to a firestone and recharge your fire. Fuck off. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Why they put that in 15, I don't know. They've simplified it a lot more. It's nice. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Good time.
Nice.
No 60 FPS though.
No, there is performance mode, but it's not good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine playing it in 30. It was okay.
Yeah.
It'll do.
No, I think I'm not a big FPS. Like, obviously if I can play 60 FPS, I prefer it, but you know, I'm fine with 30, especially when it looks so nice too.
Oh, it looks insane. It
one
looks
of the huge
insane.
things. Like, it's definitely one of the nicest games I think I've ever seen. Like, I think probably the only thing that looks, you know, similar, like in its visual fidelity, is maybe like Horizon Forbidden West. Might be the only thing that looks as dense visually. You know, so
Last of Us Part 2. That's also like a great looking game.
But I also think The Last of Us Part 2 definitely has better like facial animation and stuff, but there's just something about, I think it's maybe the style, because obviously The Last of Us, Uncharted, they go for a more photorealistic look, whereas you look at like Horizon Forbidden West and Final Fantasy 16, obviously very stylized to look, you know, different, while still, you know, verging on realism as well. And I think I like that about it. I think it just makes it nicer to look at for me personally. I don't know, but definitely a gorgeous looking game.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Like that moment when you first get to wander around the castle area and you can just see like the castle towering in front of you, the people in like the little camp and stuff. It's
looks
like,
so good. It looks so good. I mean, even the bit at the beginning when what's her face? Shiva is fighting Titan.
Yeah.
That shit was mental. I mean, I was blown away by the fact that I was playing in gameplay, and these just two colossal gods were fighting around me. It was like, what is happening? This is real time.
So good.
Like,
yeah, and it's like, that's what's crazy to me about like that whole Titan Shiva fight, is that it's not CGI. That like it's real time in-engine cutscene. Like some of that I just couldn't believe it. Like the smoke coming off some of those when they like fired the like catapults and they hit the ground and there's just all this smoke. Like, how is that real time in-engine?
It's insane. Like when there's the two armies clashing against each other, and it's like it blew me away. I was like, this looks like the cinematic cutscene for A Realm Reborn in that plays when you sit there on Final Fantasy 14 for too long, and I've watched that cutscene far too many times. It looked like that, like just that level of like visual quality, but it's in game. It was fucking insane.
Yeah, it's really, really wild. It definitely shows the like, you know, the full capabilities of the PS5, which is
definitely.
You know, it's really, really nice. But yeah, like, I mean, I agree with everything you said. Like, you know, the lore was great, world building was great. You know, learning about all these different kingdoms and stuff. And I like that you have the active time lore and you can read up on it more if you want to, or you can just kind of like read into it through like the game itself. And I think that like helps with the flow and the pacing, because like it gives you what you need to know for the story that's happening. But like learning about the history of the Duchy of Rosaria is not important for Clive's story. Like you don't need to know that. But if you want to, you can. Like you can read about that stuff.
Yeah.
And you can read about the castle, and you can read about, you know, the Archduke and stuff. And I think that's really cool, because sometimes games get bogged down on giving you exposition where it's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
like
think
it's there, but it's not needed for the immediate story they're trying to tell.
Exactly, and I think they've managed to balance that nicely, in that regular combat gives you a really nice view of the world for all the reasons you need to know about it, but then the active time lore gives you that little bit extra. And I think, you know, that's really cool. And they've said that once you get to Sid's hideaway, you'll be able to read up on all that stuff at your own leisure, so it'll save all of it, and you can go through and you can read it in like a sort of database. So
good old Sid. You got to love Sid in all
cool.
of his incarnations.
You definitely have got to love Sid. Been through some very different incarnations in his day.
That's true, he really has.
There has been some interesting Sids, I will say. But yeah, that's all really cool, and I think they do this like really good job. And it reminds me of Game of Thrones, and I talk about this in the video that I'm editing, is that like the way in Game of Thrones, when you first start that first episode, when you finish it, you don't know everything. Like they don't give you a big exposition dump at the start, so you understand every character, where they're from, what they're from is like, you know, what's this town like you learn it through experience. So like you don't learn about King's Landing until Sansa and Arya go to King's Landing, and then you start to learn about it through their eyes, because they've only known Winterfell. So it's like, you know, as these characters go to places, like when Tyrion gets stuck in the Vale, like you start to learn about that. And when Jon goes, you know, to be with the Night's Watch, you start to learn about that and what's north of the Wall, and it just builds out this world all through experience. You have to be listening and paying attention.
It's like through the characters' eyes, like through their experience, you're on that journey with them. And that's a very organic way of building a world, I think. Yeah,
for sure. And Final Fantasy 16 does that really nicely, in that like you learn about things just through conversation and experiencing it. Like you learn about their like spiritual beliefs when Jill talks about praying to Meteor, the red star that's near the moon. Like you just learn about that. It's just a nice little custom that you're like, oh, that builds out the world a little bit more.
So their traditions and stuff like that. And I also liked learning about how the different nations treat their dominance, because it's like obviously certain kingdoms revere their dominance and they're like, you know, treated with great respect, but there's other nations that fear whoever receives the power of the icon, and they're like sort of downtrodden as a result of that. So I thought it was quite interesting how different
I really
cultures around the world interpret that.
And I think it was cool to learn about the way that they handle magic in this world, because like it was very interesting learning through, obviously you meet the bearer and his slave master, and there's that conversation with Clive. And then you can go up and you can see that one of the other slave masters getting his bearer to refill the well with water using magic. And it's like, it's very interesting that like, you know, reading about the brand and the fact they're branded at birth and then they're enslaved because, you know, you like magic is so finite in this world and the crystals are running out, and it's like the bearers can make magic without the need for a crystal, and they're so reliant on magic in this world that they have to do that. And like, so bearers are seen as like subhuman, and it's this very interesting dynamic and like, you know, exploration of you know, the way that those people are seen. And like, I just think it's very cool as a way of setting that up. And as well, that, you know, you see that Clive ends up with one, you know, one of those marks on him.
So I noticed that. I was like, why does that dude have the same tattoo as Clive? I was like, what's that all about? I guess you've answered my question there. That's what it is.
Yeah, and it's just quite cool that it's like, oh, Clive ends up like that. And, you know, like, replaying the demo, you notice at the start when he's sat around the fire, you see him, like, touch his face where he's got the brand. So he's sort of, like, you know, thinking about, the like, what he is now. You know, he's seen as subhuman. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if, over the course of this game, Clive can change, or somehow can change the way that the world perceives those types of people.
Yeah.
Like, God knows where this journey's going to take him. But
well, yeah, I mean, it seems pretty crazy, because, I mean, I originally thought before playing that Clive was a dominant, but he's not, from birth at least, because he becomes the dominant of Ifrit, doesn't he?
Well, that's the thing, right? So, like, there's been a bit of discussion around what happens at the end of the demo, and I thought it was obvious what was happening, but some people have been like, oh, I have a theory that Clive is Ifrit, and I'm like, wait, I thought it was obvious that Clive was Ifrit. Like,
well, I thought that
right?
was what they did in the marketing material anyway, with all the red colours and stuff. Like, Ifrit is very red, so I just assumed that's what it was.
Yeah, I thought so too. And like,
but in that scene, I don't think Clive is controlling Ifrit. I don't think.
No. It clearly is something that awakes from inside him.
Yeah.
And he has no control over it. And like, when he, at the end, and obviously we're kind of skipping around a bit, but like, when he sees Ifrit kill Joshua, like, he's seeing it through Torgal's eyes.
Yeah. Because he says Torgal at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like some random line. He's like, Torgal. And it's like, why is he mentioning Torgal while he's watching his brother get ripped to shreds?
Yeah.
Because he's seeing it through Torgal's perspective.
And he thinks it's someone else. Like, he's like, oh my God, who's this, But it's him. Like, it's obvious, right? Like, it is him that killed Joshua. He just doesn't realize it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because also, like, you see when Ifrit shows up, Murdoch dies instantly. He's vaporized.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if it wasn't Clive, he would be dead too.
Yeah, because
on the spot.
Yeah, that's where they're like, oh, the rubble must have saved him from the flames. It's like, nah, it wasn't the rubble, bro.
Nah, he was Ifrit. That was the point.
Yeah.
Which is why he's also still it's way too obvious. Like, he turns into Ifrit, like, in the like, they find him there too. Like. And it's just like, I don't know. It just made a lot of sense to me. I think that's.
I just went into it with. I thought that, to be honest, before even loading up the demo, I thought Clive was the dominant of Ifrit, and that's just how it was. Like, he was the flame god. I didn't know the Phoenix was even in it. Like, I didn't even know any of that shit. I was just like, I assumed Clive is the special Ifrit bearer, and he's just one of the many people that have the power of the icons.
Yeah. So did I. I thought that too going into the demo. So that's why I was really confused about people theorizing. I'm like, wait, I thought we already knew that he was Ifrit. I was just so
but maybe
confused.
It's deeper than that, because he sees Ifrit killing the Phoenix through Torgal's eyes. What if he's not the dominant of Ifrit, but he can still control the icons? Like, it's not just one that he's able to control; he can control multiple of them.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because over the course of the game, you do pick up icons' powers.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, it makes sense that he's Ifrit from the start, like, because because Murdoch says, like, oh, another icon of fire, that's impossible.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that in his bloodline, where normally the icon of fire is Phoenix, as was granted to Joshua like normal, for some reason Clive didn't get Phoenix, but he got Ifrit, this icon that's never been seen before.
It's crazy that in their universe, Ifrit is the one that people have never seen before.
Yeah, when he's like so iconic.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's clearly something that awakes within him that's like, it's almost like another version of him that lives inside his head that he has never seen before. Because also you see him, like, multiple times in the demo, like, clutch his head.
Yeah. Which is a classic Final Fantasy thing. When they want to fucking explain anything, the character starts holding their head and he's like, what is this? It hurts. It hurts.
They also
in 14 as well, 7.
They play the same sound effect that plays in 7 Remake when Cloud gets his headache things. It's the same sound effect.
I mean, there is a weird hooded man that shows up to Clive and says one word, so maybe it's the same guy from 7 Remake. Same hooded man.
Oh my god. But yeah, so, like, it's very clear that he's got something that's trying to break out. Like, and he says, like, I took the scene because when it happens to him, when Joshua is turned into Phoenix and he's trying to save him, it happens, and he says no, not now. Yeah. And I feel like that must imply, right, that it happened to him once earlier in the demo, like he got a bit of a headache, but this must happen to him a lot,
I assume that's what he was referring to. He was like, not now, as in I need to be on my feet. Like, I can't be impaired with a headache. I need to be being able to save Joshua. I saw a theory that was like, maybe fucking Clive is like a warg, like sort of from Game of Thrones, and he can warg into different beings, so he could potentially warg into the icons themselves. That's why he was seeing it from Torgal's point of view, because he warged into, or for lack of a better word, warged into Torgal.
I think maybe, but I also think maybe it's only Torgal.
I mean, you can play as Torgal, can't you, as well? So that makes sense, to be fair.
I don't think you play as him, but he is a party member. He is your party member.
I swear I read somewhere you can play as Torgal.
Yeah, I think you can command him and like tell him to do stuff.
That must be what they meant by play. But you can I also read that you can do that for other party members as well. You'll be able to tell them to do certain actions. You can't control them like you can in 7 Remake.
I don't think you can.
Well, I guess
you don't control anyone.
When you were playing with when you play as Joshua during that certain bit and you're with that other dude, I guess you couldn't tell them to do anything. Or even when you're playing as Clive in the swamp, you couldn't even tell them to do any abilities there. So maybe it was just a bit of misinformation on Reddit that I saw.
I'm pretty sure that you don't control any party members. All you can do is command Torgal to do things.
Yeah. I would have liked a bit more of the party system to be in it, to be honest, because there was so little there was like none of that in Final Fantasy 15. But I guess maybe it would have been like a 15 situation where it's like you can tell them to do these abilities. It's so little, you may as well not have it at all.
I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm okay with it because the combat feels like it's going to have a ton of depth, and I'm like, I get that. But I don't think I want it to become like the norm for Final Fantasy, because a large portion of Final Fantasy is managing a party.
Yeah, I like the party aspect. I used to be very against it, but I like the party aspect of being able to, switch. I love it in Remake, like Final Fantasy 7 Remake, where you can just switch character. Like I like that, but I also do like how they're going with it in 16 as well. It's fine too. Like I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, I think I'm totally fine with it. I think I'm totally fine with it as long as in future titles we still get an element of party in there somewhere. Yeah. Because
it'd be a shame to lose that.
Yeah, because it's a huge part of the game is like managing a party and having that that system. So there's that. But I think that everything in the demo was very, very good, and it just leaves you on that. Like the performances were tremendous.
Yeah, they were really good.
To like right at the end when Clive is like calling out and crying out for Ifrit to stop.
God, that shit was disturbing.
Like, dude, it was so like I was just speechless. Like the camera cuts to black and you can just hear him just like beating the shit out of Phoenix. And like, oh my god.
You think at that point that the Phoenix is sort of won and it's sort of like, okay, Ifrit's gonna fuck off now, but dude just jumps onto Joshua and just starts wailing on him and like grabs his fucking beak, like stomps on his beak and shit and starts like ripping his wings off and stuff. Like it's so fucked up. That shit was horrible to watch.
You can hear Joshua calling out for Clive as well. And it's like, oh my god. It's just so much, especially like after they spent the whole demo establishing this really nice relationship with Joshua and Clive.
Yeah, it's like neither of them have the biases that others have towards them, if that makes sense. Like, Joshua looks up to Clive despite everyone thinking that he's almost like the dark child, if that makes sense. And then Clive only wants to protect Joshua and has nothing but love for him, like no jealousy whatsoever, even though that he was sort of meant to be the dominant. There's a really nice little relationship between them, and to see that, I don't think Joshua's dead. I don't think he's dead.
I think he is.
But why would they spoil that in a demo?
Well, it's the opening of the game. Like, I think that's just like I think Joshua's supposed to die, and that's the start of the game.
That's like the catalyst for Clive to move
and it's
forward.
it's like now we see how Clive grapples with the fact that he killed his own brother. And it's like, where's that story going to take him? But there's also the potential that like Phoenix's biggest ability in Final Fantasy is Flames of Rebirth that revives the whole party. I'm like, is it possible that, like, and the thing with Phoenix as well is like in real mythology, like not just Final Fantasy, is when Phoenixes die,
they come out of the ashes.
There's another reborn from the ashes. So it's like, but there's also there's that metaphor of like, well, in the death of Phoenix and Joshua, will Clive, after going on this character journey, will he be reborn from the ashes? And I think that there'll be a moment in the game where Clive has to relive those moments, and I think he might get to speak with Joshua, but it'll be like in his head sort of thing.
It'll be like when Noctis gets to talk to Luna after she dies.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Like one of
it'll
those
be this,
sorts of scenes.
because I think it's going to be about Clive having to confront that trauma and overcome it.
Yeah.
To defeat a great evil or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be one of those power of brotherhood moments.
Yeah, and I think it'll be this internal conflict that'll probably culminate in him having to relive the moments of that prologue. And, Joshua will maybe, like, give him the strength to,
be like, I forgive
overcome
you,
it or something.
Or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, something like that. But you never know. You never know where it's going to go.
Part of me still thinks he's not dead, but we will see. It comes out in 3 days, so, I mean, we shall see.
We shall definitely see. It's very exciting, and there's just, so much to look forward to anticipate, see where they take things, and it's like the level of quality that the game has, and like
it did exude quality. It really did.
Yeah, it's like this just like level of prestige is the word that I've been using. Like there's a certain prestige to it that Final Fantasy always used to have.
Yeah.
Like Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy, like one of the biggest and most popular franchises of all time.
Yeah, it has fallen off a little bit.
It's felt like it's fallen off in a lot of ways, and obviously people love 15. There are those people, like, it has a large fan base.
I like it.
14 is successful, and
it just drops the ball. It doesn't even drop the ball. It smashes the ball into the floor, and the ball goes through the other side of the planet. That's how badly they fucked that up.
And also the combat's so shallow.
It's shit.
It's just,
I never once
Final
enjoyed
Fantasy.
a combat encounter. Yeah, it's not. It has the paint of Final Fantasy, and it feels like a Final Fantasy world, but it's like, it just feels like this weird bastardization.
Yeah, and you look at like 13 didn't do very well.
I don't even know anything about 13.
Nobody talks about 12. Like for a long time, I didn't even think they made one. I'm like, I've never heard of Final Fantasy 12 in my life.
That is true.
So it's like, the last time that Final Fantasy was this huge, beloved, critically acclaimed franchise was 10, and that was 2001.
True.
So
I mean, you can't really even count the MMOs in there because they're not mainline
it's not the same
games.
thing.
Like it's not.
It's
not the same thing.
It's not
like
the same.
14,
like 14
is beloved, and it's now like one of the, if not the biggest MMO in the world.
Yeah, it's a global success.
Not a traditional Final Fantasy game in that sense.
Yeah, it's not the same thing that shows that, like, Final Fantasy's back. It's like, well, Final Fantasy can do an incredibly successful MMO, but can they make a great single-player RPG? I don't know. They haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
So, is this going to be... I mean, to me, like, Final Fantasy 16, it feels like this generation's Final Fantasy 7. Like, the game that is just going to hit the mainstream audiences. They're going to be just blown away by the level of quality and scale and storytelling, that it's just going to be, like, this insane game that they're going to be trying to replicate for years. And they're going to be chasing
it's not
that
high. Fucking good, because then we'll just get a bunch of shit games again.
But
whilst I was playing it, it did feel like they were like, oh, you didn't like Final Fantasy 15? We'll fucking have this. That's what it felt like. It's like this sort of triumphant return almost. It was obviously I'm not a huge Final Fantasy guy, but I know the acclaim of the series enough to know that it has fallen on hard times a little bit. And to see it back in such an extravagant way is very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely got this feeling of like it's firing on all cylinders. And
it is, it is.
Like it just doesn't stop. It's just like constantly like, no, we make like
atmosphere,
it's just
storytelling, gameplay, everything, visuals, soundtrack. It's all brilliant.
It's really good, and it feels like the true, like... It's difficult for me, because I've obviously only played Final Fantasy 1 to 9, so I've not played the post-Sakaguchi games, who is the
Dark Ages.
Yeah, well, Hironobu Sakaguchi created Final Fantasy, and it was his, like, his thing that he just deeply wanted to make, and it was, he... With Final Fantasy 1... He'd been working in game design for a while, but he'd not had like this true like success.
Yeah.
And he was thinking about going back to studying law and getting a degree and doing that. But he was like, his mother like was a big supporter of him and like convinced him to, to just give it more time, give it a chance, put your all into it, and if not, then obviously go back to something else. And that's when he made Final Fantasy and pitched it to Square Enix, and they. Like, because he hadn't had a lot of successful projects, they were sort of like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like,
Might as well
just
let
make
him,
it,
just
I
humour
guess.
him, yeah.
And it became this fucking huge success.
I mean, that's why it's
nowhere.
called Final Fantasy, isn't it? Because it was like his last chance at making a game.
Yeah, well, there's been like different claims on this. Different
I
people
like to
have said different
headcanon that.
things,
It's a
but
cool fucking. I like
it
to
is fucking
headcanon
cool.
that.
Yeah,
It's like the
And I
Final
think-
Fantasy, like his last attempt.
Because I think Sakaguchi said that that's not really true, but
It's symbolically true.
Uematsu has said no, that is true. That's what happened.
Okay.
But maybe he just likes the romanticized
I mean,
telling.
it is cool. I like that. I'm gonna headcanon that regardless, even if the man himself comes out and denies it.
Yeah, it's very cool. But I like that every Final Fantasy that he's worked on has this particular feeling to it, and like, you know, there's a lot of elements of Final Fantasy VII that are influenced by the death of his mother and stuff. And,
Yeah.
like, he worked that into the game, and like this sense of like, you know, loss and stuff that's, you know, comes in a lot of later Final Fantasies. And you know, I've finished all of the Sakaguchi games, and he oversaw Final Fantasy X and bits of 11 and 12, I think. But he wasn't a developer. Like, he wasn't directly involved in the production of those games after Final Fantasy IX.
Does he still?
And this,
Does he still work
What?
with Square Enix, or is he even
no.
alive?
he's alive, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure he doesn't do anything anymore.
Yeah. Probably made his
Same
fortune,
as
hasn't he?
same as Uematsu as well, doesn't compose for Final Fantasy anymore. Although he did do 7 Remake. So
Oh, the boy
there's
came
that.
back.
But yeah, this game feels like it's very much. It's obviously doing its own thing, and it's got its own flair to it.
Yeah.
But there's a part of it that just feels like it has that Sakaguchi element to it that just feels very special. Like, it feels like it understands Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
In this very, like, I don't know, and it's in a subtle way. Like, it's not overt, but it just feels like
No.
a Final Fantasy game.
You
that
can
they've
see the
taken-
DNA in there.
you
Like,
know,
there was certain
yeah.
points where I had to remind myself, or I was reminded by the game that I was playing a Final Fantasy game. Because it does feel
Yeah.
very different, but it was almost like that bit where you fight the dude in the armor, and he's got the spear, and he's standing on that
the dragoon,
fucking spire, and it's like
Yeah.
you got the moon in the background, and he's like got this elaborate ornate armor, and he's like 1 foot standing on the top of this fucking building. It's like, that's so Final Fantasy, like
Yeah.
moments like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it is fucking. Oh, it's so fucking good. I can't wait
Yeah.
for it.
It was very good, and I think that it's just got that element of Final Fantasy that Final Fantasy has been missing. It's kind of been treading water for a bit, and it feels
It's
like
finding its footing finally.
yeah, it feels like it's regained so much of what made it so good. Like, I've been replaying Final Fantasy 1 just in sort of anticipation of 16.
Yeah.
And there's so many parts of it where I'm like, this just feels similar.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many little bits, like the castles and the knights and the.
Well, this
you
is
know.
the first Final Fantasy game I'm playing that has that, like the knights and
Right,
stuff,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
castles and the kingdoms and stuff. Because, like, I mean, Final Fantasy 15, like, it had aspects of that, but it's like the first traditional fantasy Final Fantasy that I'm playing ever.
But like doesn't have cars.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
guns.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Things like that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
It's the first Final Fantasy I'm playing that doesn't have fucking guns in it and cars and machinery and like magitech and stuff. Like,
Well, I mean, you never know, really, because Final Fantasy, since day one, has been one of the coolest things about Final Fantasy 1 is the way that you're playing through this fantasy world, and then all of a sudden, you're in one of these dungeons, and there's just a robot, and you're like, wait, what? Why is there a robot here? And you talk to him, and he gives you this item, and later on, you find this sky fortress by this, like, ancient civilization, and it's just really fucking cool.
see, that
And
shit
it's
is
like
cool though. Like when it's
there's
like,
all this sci-fi stuff that's like worked its way in, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't expect any of
I
this.
suppose I don't mind the sci-fi. I actually really like the sci-fi stuff being worked into Final Fantasy. That's one of the sort of standout features of the franchise that I really like. How they marry fantasy and sci-fi pretty well.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see a world where that's not at the forefront. That's not like the main sort of. Because like Final Fantasy
Yeah, for
7,
sure,
you've
for
got
sure.
like, you know, fucking Midgar, which is an insanely like futuristic city, and then 15, which I've also played, which is, you know, it's got massively futuristic cities in that, and like you drive a car for
Insomnia.
most of the fucking game. So like
Yeah,
to
exactly,
play a game
exactly,
where
yeah.
it's like the focus is on the medieval fantasy almost is pretty cool. I mean, I guess it's
Yeah,
before
yeah.
medieval because it's like year 800 or whenever it is, so it's even earlier.
Yeah, which is it's very cool, and I think that like I wouldn't be shocked if Final Fantasy 16 has some sort of like ancient tech or something in there.
Yeah.
At some point,
I wouldn't
but
be
the fact
against
that
it.
it's not. The fact that it's not the focus is like cool.
It's a nice
because
breath
that's
of
what
fresh
made
air.
Final Fantasy 1 through to 5 so cool.
Yeah.
Was that like there was always that sci-fi element to it, but it wasn't a sci-fi game. Like
No.
which is I think what makes it so cool. It's almost like Horizon in a way.
yeah.
Horizon's very Final Fantasy. In
Yeah,
that you're
mirrors.
in this like medieval fantasy worlds almost.
Yeah.
With sci-fi tech that kind of just like shows up like
That must have been somewhat of an inspiration for Horizon. It must have been to some extent.
be.
Like the duality of fantasy and technology, or the duality of, I don't know. What did you refer to it as? You know what I mean. You know what I fucking
like
mean.
fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah,
really.
fantasy and sci-fi. Yeah, that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
that's very cool, and I think that like it'll be interesting to see what they do with 16, whether that's there or whether it's not. Because if it's not there at all, that's also just as interesting as if it is.
Yeah.
Because like Final Fantasy's never done that before.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always had a sci-fi element somewhere. So if they don't have one at all, it'll be interesting to see.
Hmm.
No, if that's the case, or whether there is like this, other layer that they're not showing us because they don't want to spoil it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, so you can have that Final Fantasy 1 moment of like, oh shit, I didn't realize this was here.
Yeah,
and this is where we were going with this.
That would be cool. Either way, I'm happy either way, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
I also like the
Sure.
concept of the mother crystals, like the mountainous,
Oh yeah.
like whatever they are, fucking magic crystals that the nations war over and stuff. And obviously you've got the Iron Kingdom and the Duchy of Rosaria that are fighting over the mother crystal closest to both their territories and stuff. And that's really cool. How like not everyone has access to this magic that they need. Because like other Final Fantasy worlds, like I mean like 14 for example, there's aetherites fucking everywhere, whatever the fuck they're called. All over the place, and it's like no one really wants for magic in that universe, but in 16 they're making a point of it being like something that is rare.
It's a commodity.
Yeah, it's a commodity.
Yeah, which is cool, and that's what makes it so interesting that you see, because it's a commodity, the fact that some people are born with the ability to use magic, they're commoditized. Like, if that's
Yeah,
even
that
a
shit's
fucking
insane.
word.
Yeah, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, to be honest, when I went over to the well. I thought it was just like a mage guy. I didn't think it was a fucking slave. I was like, oh god.
Right. Yeah, that's what's going on. Like, if you read the active time law entry about it,
Yeah.
it tells you all about the bearers and their brand and everything. Which is
See, I only realised
just-
that active time law was a thing when the game told me it was, which is after you talk to
Right,
your
and that's
father.
after that.
Yeah. So I was
yeah.
like, oh, I got to read all this shit. Well, not shit,
Yeah.
because I was loving it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting and very cool, and I think that's what also I like that it bakes it into the gameplay, into the story, and that because Clive can use magic and is a bearer, like he's able to use magic, and so like there's a reason why he can unlimitedly like use magic. Like he doesn't need fucking like ethers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
What was that?
Which is cool.
When he wins that fight, and he goes over to Joshua, and he like collapses, and then Joshua gives him like the blessing of the Phoenix. What was that?
That
Is
was
he just like
he was
instilling
curing
him with his. Oh, so like okay, but then he's like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, is that because Josh is ill? Joshua's ill.
Yeah,
and
he's
he was
sick,
like,
and he's like using his energy. Like, 'cause
He
it must
shouldn't
use
be
a lot
doing
of
that.
energy for a kid to cast like Kiraga or something.
That is true. Yeah, that is very true.
Which you can do when you play as Joshua, which is quite cool.
Yeah, you can. I
cast
saw that
Kiraga
on
and-
the. I never actually needed to use it, but it was.
I
pretty
used it
cool.
just because I wanted to see what the animation looked like.
Yeah.
Looked pretty cool.
Gotta love Kiraga, honestly. I fucking love it. Oh,
So that
what
was,
did you think about... I've got one last thing I want to talk about. What did you think about Clive's father's death scene?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, in trailers we'd seen that scene, but I didn't remember like. If
Well, so
it
you
showed
saw him
who
die?
died.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I
you
remember.
see Joshua's face get covered in blood
Yeah.
in one of the trailers,
Mhm.
and seeing that scene in its full was like, oh my god! Like I did not expect that that's what was happening in that scene.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Joshua would like get in trouble and like he'd get blood on him because he was like in the middle of a fight, but I didn't realize it'd be his father's blood.
Yeah, that
like,
shit was
being killed
insane.
in front of him.
Like, decapitated as well. Like,
Yeah, it's so like that. Honestly, the whole ending, like they spend the entire prologue building up all these different characters, and then they just kill everybody
yeah.
except for Clive and Torgal, and I think Jill is alive too.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
she
wasn't there.
Jill is the dominant of Shiva, though, isn't she?
I believe so. Yeah.
So she survives for sure.
Yeah, and so
she'll be alright. She's literally an ice god. She can deal with some flames.
Yeah, and that's cool that these characters like Murdoch and Elwyn, and Tyler and Wade, like they all die. And it's like they don't die in way like they die because of like the fallout of Joshua and Clive turning into their icons.
Yeah.
Like that is what kills their allies, which is just horrible, but like really cool as a part of the story.
Yeah, no, it is cool because it's like
which I like.
Clive
a lot.
will obviously blame himself, but if he finds out that obviously he'll find out that he's Ifrit. But when he finds out that he's Ifrit, he obviously blame himself for that because I mean he watched Ifrit tear his brother apart, and finding out that was him would be traumatic.
Yeah, I do hope. Like, I wonder because obviously the demo ends, and obviously we find out that his mother orchestrated it and was behind it, and she,
that shit was insane, fucking bitch. She's just like the Cersei character.
Yeah, she like kills her fucking handmaidens and just wanders off.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like honestly, what I loved about that scene so much is that she goes to kill Clive. And then she changes her mind because of her fucking arrogance.
Yeah,
and that's gonna come back to she's gonna regret that.
It's gonna bite her in the ass
when Clive finally can, fucking cut her head off or whatever.
Honestly, he'll have all the powers of all the gods, and he'll just fucking smite her.
Yeah, and I think when that demo ends, we don't know if what happens next is we return to the modern day where we started, or whether we get a little bit more in the past.
There must be like at least a tiny bit more, like showing him being taken by the Empire, whatever it was. That's what it is, isn't it? That's what they're called.
The Empire, yeah.
Yeah, I love how there's always
there's always an Empire.
Yeah,
it's always an Empire, and that's another thing that's based off of like the stuff that Sakaguchi always did, because he bases a lot of Final Fantasy off of Star Wars because he loves Star Wars.
Oh,
so it's like that's why there's Biggs and Wedge in like every game, and why there's always an evil empire. Final Fantasy IV is very much like a Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker story.
That's amazing, amazing.
But that's really cool.
Well, I mean, it is a fantasy Star Wars, isn't it? I guess so. You can glean a lot from that. Take a lot of inspiration.
Exactly. And I think like this, I do wonder whether it'll carry on straight away, or whether we'll go back to the modern day and maybe get another flashback later on or something.
Yeah, like when he has a particular experience that brings forth that memory.
Yeah, because it was like him being in the battlefield where we would see Shiva and Titan come head to head. We then get the flashback of when Phoenix and Ifrit fought.
Yeah,
which is like makes sense.
Oh, I can't wait for more of that. The god fights were just so cool.
It was so cool, yeah.
Seeing the true power of these Final Fantasy deities, like you rarely see what they're truly capable of, like in a realistic sense, where it's like they just wreak havoc across the earth, like just their battles are so incomprehensibly cataclysmic that it's just like it leaves the land scarred. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like they're these different nations like nuclear weapons.
Yeah, basically. Basically, it reminds me actually of the story of Naruto. The reason why Naruto is so strong in that show, and obviously why the story follows him, is because he's what is known as a Jinchuriki, which means that he has there's like these big god creatures that are basically like the gods from Final Fantasy called the nine-tailed beasts, and he has the fox spirit inside of him, and from each nation has a Jinchuriki that has the spirit inside of it, and they basically use that as a way to even out the playing field. So it's like, if you try and use your Jinchuriki, we're going to use ours, and it's just going to be like mutually assured destruction. So it sort of reminds me of that. Yeah, like it's like similar, it's like a nuke. Like it's like, if you use your icon or you use your dominant, we're going to bring ours to the field as well. Sort of thing, which I think is pretty cool, because it shows the power balance between nations and stuff, and who's willing to employ their dominant and who's not. It's cool. I can't wait to see more of that. Like I love the concept of there being people that are chosen at random to bear the power of these mighty gods, and they have to just deal with that and grapple with it. It's just such a cool concept. I think it's
very cool.
So fucking cool.
It definitely grounds the icons or the summons in a more like interesting way.
Yeah.
That makes them cool, because like summons are used differently in every Final Fantasy. They always manifest in a different way for the story to function and stuff. But this is definitely one of the more interesting ways of using them,
it's super
which
cool.
I think is is cool.
It's very grounded in the
for
story.
sure. Yeah, and I think probably the one thing I would like to see, whether it's straight away after or whether it's like down the line with another flashback, is I would like to see Clive learn that he's Ifrit, because
No, for sure.
I would assume in the modern day he already knows, right? Like, there's no way he's gone 13 years and not realized it was him.
Yeah.
That would be a bit weird if, like, you know, he spent 13 years of his life thinking it was someone else.
Well, when those people are saying, like, at the beginning, when they're saying, like, oh, you can't die here, this plan hinges on you, I assumed that was a situation where it's like, we know you're the dominant of Ifrit, we need you because you're the only one that can do whatever this is, sort of situation.
That makes sense.
As in, like, if it wasn't him, it would have been Joshua, but obviously he's now the fire god or whatever, so they need him for whatever they're doing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Be cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, like,
it reminds me of oh no, actually that's spoilers. If you're ever gonna watch it, I don't want to spoil it. Attack on Titan. I don't want to spoil it.
Oh, I will watch it. I will watch it at some point.
Yeah, I won't spoil that.
But yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So hopefully, I just would like to see the moment he realizes, because I think it would be quite a powerful scene to have it, for him to realize that not only did his brother die and he couldn't stop it, he's the one that did it. Yeah, would be like,
it's like a whole new layer of trauma. Like, that's like reliving it all over again in a new framing almost. Yeah.
I think that would be good. But incredible demo. The game is out very soon.
Yes. So I'm super excited for it.
It is very exciting. I cannot wait to see where they take it, what happens, and
oh god, yeah, get just lost in the world of Valisthea, however you pronounce it. Super impressed with it. Hyped. And honestly, the demo convinced me that it could very well possibly be my game of the year. It's an incredible. Like, what competition does it have? Like, I loved RE4 remake, but it's a remake. Like, it's amazing, but it's a remake. Like, I want a new game. That's what qualifies GOTY for me. Like, remakes, they're great. I love them. They can be masterpieces in their own right, but it's the new games that deserve that spot as game of the year. Sure.
And it also feels very new too. Like, playing it felt like something new. It didn't feel like I was retreading. Yeah. You know, it just felt very unique, and it felt like Final Fantasy was finally doing something, pushing the envelope again. And, being like, look, this is why you should watch Final Fantasy, because, on every front we're pushing the industry forward, which is like, what they used to do. You look at Final Fantasy 7, as much as it looks old as fuck now, at the time that was, with their FMVs and stuff, was like, it was huge.
Yeah, for sure. What's an FMV?
What?
What's an FMV?
Full motion video, the cutscenes.
Oh, I see.
The pre-rendered cutscenes.
Yeah. They're very rare, aren't
they? Yeah, they're very rare.
But they are pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the main reason why Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 all had to be on multiple discs. It was the FMVs, not the actual game.
Oh, that makes sense.
That was big.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's actually the length of like a sort of standard JRPG, but it's just on multiple discs because they couldn't fit it into one.
Yeah, because it's like, Final Fantasy 7 is like 30 to 40 hours.
Okay, so it's not that long.
It just has these real, like, they just couldn't fit all of the cutscenes on one disc.
Well, that's some dedication, to be fair, big. Because most companies would be like, no one's going to want to fuck around with multiple discs. Let's just cut that and fucking save money on the cutscenes, and then we can put it all on one disc. It'd be better for everyone. The fact they were like, nah, we're going to do multiple discs just to show how sweet our cutscenes are.
Yeah, well, that's the huge thing about Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, is it's on 2 discs.
Oh, is it?
Which is really cool as a throwback, digitally? But also, like, well, digitally, games, I suppose it'll either be 2 games or it'll just be a huge install.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I mean, most fucking installs take like a whole day for me anyway, so that's fine.
But it's pretty wild. Like, that means Rebirth is going to have something big enough that it had to be on 2 discs. Yeah. Like, I do not know why.
You don't get that for modern games. Like, it's 2023, 2 fucking discs for a game coming out in 2023. It must be huge.
Yeah, it must be. But we'll see.
We will see. It's good for Final Fantasy fans. I'm eating good.
It truly is.
Maybe after all this, like
good.
when I finish 16 and finish 7, I'll go back and play like 1, and then see how I'm feeling about 1, and then maybe 2, and then 3, and then maybe I'll play all of them.
1 is very fun.
1 appeals
9
to me a lot.
9 is great too.
I think
9 is my favourite currently.
I like the art style of the pixel games a lot. I think once it starts going 3D, they're really ugly, but that's because
they are
they're
not
a
ugly.
product
They
of
are
their time.
beautiful.
They're
games.
a product of their time. That's how it is. But Final Fantasy VII OG is pretty damn ugly. It's endearing.
It's beautiful.
It's endearing.
It's charming and it's
but
beautiful.
It's ugly. Like the fucking resolution of some of those backgrounds. Fuck me, man. It's like they just took a fucking JPEG off Google. And
I get what you mean, but I love it.
But that was the technology at the time. I can't really judge it for that. But I think the pixel games have aged better.
They've definitely aged better.
But that's to be expected because pixel, it's still a sought after aesthetic.
They're also like the pixel remasters, especially.
Oh, but they're nice and crisp.
Really nice.
Yeah.
They've brought them. They've updated them, but they've retained their original because they've done like there's been so many ports of the original 6 Final Fantasy games, but they always added things or changed things. So like the pixel remasters, the most authentic versions of the original, but they just look really nice and sound really nice.
And I can play that on
quality
PS5.
of life stuff. Yes. So you can get those plats, you can get those platinum trophies. If there's anything that can get you into playing all the old Final Fantasies, it's getting those plats.
I mean, imagine getting a series-wide plat for Final Fantasy. You'd have to be a madman to do that. But yeah, you know what? I'll play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'll play 16 and stuff, and I may find myself going back to 1.
Yeah, 1 is great, 2 is great, 3, they're all really good. 6 is amazing. 6 and 4, I really like 6 and 4. Those are very good. And 9 is my favorite, and 9 is a medieval.
It's got Vivi.
Vivi is in that one. Yes, I love Vivi. I love Vivi so much.
I just know him from character. See, my knowledge of Vivi is Kingdom Hearts Twilight Town, so it's really fucking like it's a really niche view of that character. He does nothing.
What is so weird, right, about the way, because I didn't realize this until playing Final Fantasy, is the way Kingdom Hearts uses Final Fantasy characters is actually so thematically appropriate. Like the worlds that they appear in, it makes so much sense. I'm like, obviously this character appears here.
Yeah.
And it's like obviously it makes sense why they use Vivi in Twilight Town. It makes sense why they use.
I've seen some screenshots of 9, and some of the areas in that place do look like Twilight Town, like the little villages or whatnot. It's
definitely similar, art style too. But just like in terms of the story they're telling with KH2, it just that makes so much sense.
Oh, that's cool. So it's not even just from the way the place looks that you encounter. I mean, well, for example, like, does Traverse Town look like where Leon would be, or whatever his name is, Squall, Lionheart?
No, but Radiant Garden is like, I didn't even realize how closely it was based on like where Squall was like raised in Final Fantasy VIII.
That's really cool.
So it makes so much sense. I'm like, no wonder it's Radiant Garden. Of course, Radiant Garden. Of course it is. That makes so much sense.
Oh shit! But we beat fucking Cloud in Olympus Coliseum. That's nothing like Midgar.
No, but
it's like everything outside of Midgar. It's all sandy.
But I think it makes sense with like being a soldier, like
that's true actually. Yeah.
That playing into how he does, but they definitely use Zack better in Birth by Sleep. Like with him, because obviously Olympus is all about being a hero, and Crisis Core is all about Zack's desire to be a hero, which is like quite cool how it links.
And he hits on Aqua.
He does hit on Aqua. He does do that. Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is a thing that happens.
Absolutely
in the
amazing.
Game.
And she's like,
no. Yeah, and there's also like the way they use Sid too in Kingdom Hearts 1. Like he's the guy that
fixes
works
the gummy
on
ship.
Your gummy ship, and he's like an airship technician, and
that's true.
He's always the mechanic, and Final Fantasy, which is cool.
I actually really like Sid from Final Fantasy 15. I think he's really funny.
He's the old guy, right?
Yeah, the old grease monkey at the shop. I like him in that game, and now he's like your dad's like old mate or whatever.
Yeah,
I like him.
His granddaughter is Cindy.
Yeah, I like Cindy. Yeah, she's the one with the huge tits.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually really like her character though. Like, not
I don't
based
remember
on
her
her
character
aesthetic
at
at all.
all.
She's just a really nice woman. And she's always up for the antics of the lads, and she's always down to fix the regalia and just do weird shit to it. I like her.
I'm looking forward to going back through 15. I mean, when I'm done with 16, I think I'm going to have that Final Fantasy bug again, and I'll go through 10, 12, 13, and 15.
Yeah.
Get them fucking done, and hate my life again afterwards.
15 is so... I remember tweeting about it as I was playing it. I was like, why do people hate this game so much? It's so good. I just love going around the regalia and exploring and doing, like, stopping off at, like, a gas station, getting gas for my car, or, like, camping down for the night and stuff. I always thought it was so cool. And then I got to, like, the halfway point of the game, and I was like, oh, shit. This is why it's bad. Not even, like, the halfway point. It's like... I think everything goes to shit after Luna dies.
Right, yeah.
And Noctis is all fucking annoying. He's all fucking mopey for, like, the rest of the game. And he's like... Everyone starts arguing, and they're all like... Gladio hates Noctis for some reason, even though he's just mourning. It's like... It's just fucking shit.
But you hate Noctis even though he's just mourning. You just called him mopey.
Yeah, I do, but it's like...
His girlfriend just died.
Yeah, but why does his... Yeah, but I'm not Noctis' best friend. Why does his best friend hate him?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know.
He's like, come on, Noctis, you fucking bitch. Oh, then you've got that whole train section where you have to fucking fight loads of shit enemies on the train, and it's like, this combat system is shit, so I don't even want to do it. That random woman will come in every now and then. What's her name? The mercenary woman. Oh, yeah. And she shows up a bit. You have that bit where
you go into that dungeon thing.
Oh, yeah, she comes with you.
The same, and it's pitch black.
Awful. The dungeons in that game are awful.
Yeah, I do remember those
I did
bits.
one, and there was a sewer. And I walked around in a dingy sewer for about an hour. I had to get a tutorial on how to... I was trying to... It was bullshit. I was trying to find a specific part for Cindy to do something with the regalia. I had to go into this shit dungeon. It took me so fucking long to do it. Just because it's structured in a way where every room looks the same, and you take a turn and you fall down some bit, and you're like, oh, now I've got to backtrack all the way to the beginning to get the right way that I wanted to go. And then you're
that sounds like Final Fantasy dungeon design. But I can imagine it's like it doesn't work when translated to a 3D game where you've actually got to move through a large space.
It doesn't, and also Noctis walks through the whole thing. If it's an area that you haven't been to before in the dungeon, Noctis will walk.
Ugh.
And if it's an area you have been to, you get to run. I don't know. It's fucking shit.
Jesus Christ, yeah. I mean, I remember the ending being cool. I remember confronting Arden being cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, no, it's
really cool fight.
And Arden's like being a little whimsical man, and then
he's like,
fucking
I've got the Kingsglaive weapons. You can't defeat me. And he goes, well, I've got them too, but they're red.
That's a line from the game.
That's what Arden says.
I've got them too, but they're red.
But Arden's not a terrible villain, but I actually don't know what he wanted for the entire thing.
Right, I remember not knowing either when I played it.
It's like something about like he's like an estranged member of the lineage of like the kings or whatever, and that's,
he is, yeah.
And it's like he's angry.
I think his DLC explains it.
The game should explain it, not
it should. DLC. Like the DLC should all be like integrated into the game. Like, the game's development was just so fucked. Like half the lore and exposition and stuff is all in like prequel movies and cartoons. And
I didn't even watch Kingsglaive before playing it.
Yeah, I like Kingsglaive actually.
It does look
really like
cool.
that a lot.
It actually does look cool.
I actually really enjoyed that.
But I was just like, I can't be asked to watch it because I just want to play the game.
Shouldn't have to. Yeah, you shouldn't have to watch it to feel more for the game.
Yeah.
You know, it should be. It should all work together, and that's one of the things I appreciate a lot about 16 is that there's none of that bullshit.
Yeah, I don't need that shit. Like, release a 16 movie after it comes out. I'll be fine with that. Like after I've played it, and I'll be fine with it.
I'm scared. I don't want any additional material ever again.
I don't really need it, to be honest. Like, I just want the game to stand on its own. But if you want to do a cool cinematic
keeps
movie,
me up at night.
I don't even know what that is. Advent Children.
Yeah, it's a sequel movie to Final Fantasy 7, and it's fucking bad.
It's where Cloud gets a second sword because it's the
he does.
Movie. What?
He does.
What do you mean he actually does?
He has like 8 swords.
What?
Like he has this thing that he attaches to his bike that has like a rotation. It has just a bunch of different swords in it. and they all like combine together to become new swords.
Megazord sword.
It's so unnecessary.
Yeah, all
It's
we
such
need
an
is the Buster
Nomuraism.
Sword. I
Like,
just want the Buster Sword, bro. Leave that shit for the cool side characters that do cool shit. Like, I just want an iconic weapon. I don't need some transforming mechanical weapon. That sounds shit. Side characters,
so
that's
bad.
cool as fuck. Like, you know that dude that comes in with the bike in Final Fantasy VII Remake? Give him that. That'd be sick. He can have that.
oh, Roach.
Yeah. Characters like
Yeah.
that, where it's like sort of like they're just there to be pretty cool. Like, give them the weird elaborate weapons. I don't need that shit for my main character. I just want a sword.
I do like Roach. I think he's quite a cool character.
I don't know much about him. I just know that he really likes racing. Like,
Yeah,
fucking
no, I don't
really
either.
likes racing.
He's only in Remake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they made him for Remake.
Oh,
He's
that's
not in
pretty
anything
cool.
else.
Ah, he was really.
Quite
Oh,
cool,
yeah, that's cool. I thought he was pretty damn cool. I liked him.
There's some nice additions that Remake do, like Shinra Middle Manager. You know, being a character. he's cool. I like him.
I fucking love Shinra Middle Manager. Although Shinra Middle Manager is technically in OG when they're on the train. Someone still has a go at Barrett, but it's not. It's not in the same way.
Yeah, it's not Shinra Middle Manager though. It's not the same guy.
Shinra Middle Manager shows up like 3 times in the remake as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so fucking good.
You should really play Intermission.
Oh my god, I shouldn't I? Is he in that as well?
Yeah, I'm not telling you. You should play it.
Yeah, fuck, I do need to play
it.
Intermission. Well,
Intermission's
as I've said,
good, yeah.
I do want to replay Final Fantasy VII Remake and then Intermission after it, but with 16 so close, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
True. You should do it. Just do them before Rebirth.
When does Rebirth come out? Next year?
Early 2024, yeah.
Oh, early. Oh god. What else is coming out this year? Starfield. That's gonna take up so much fucking time. Oh fucking hell.
Actually, I have a list. Armored Core 6.
Oh god, Armored Core as well.
Starfield, Lies of P, Forza, Spider-Man 2.
Oh, Spider-Man 2. Oh, fucking hell, I'm not gonna have enough time. I don't have the time for this. Then I need to also go, oh, how about I play this random old game that I've played loads of times for a video, and then I have to play that as well. And it's like, fucking hell,
true.
It's too much shit.
I'm trying to figure out when to play GTA 5 for this video I'm working on.
You're replaying it? Oh, it's a banger, to be fair, actually. It is a banger. Like, you forget how good GTA 5 is. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, it should be fun to do, although I don't know when I'm going to be able to manage it with 16 out, and I really want to play 16 and not play GTA 5.
Why did I move here? I guess it was the weather.
That is such a classic trailer.
Oh, I haven't played Burning Shores yet either.
That came out. Oh my god, you got to play Burning Shores? What the fuck are you doing? Stop getting the plat on fucking every game you play.
Red Dead Online.
Getting through these games.
That's what I'm doing right now.
This is ridiculous. You got games to play.
I actually do. I haven't played Jedi Fallen Order or Survivor. I'm gonna be like a year out of date.
Yeah, you're getting a big backlog.
Fucking Christ. Well, that's the life of a gamer.
It is the life of a gamer. It is the life of a gamer, and that's a great note to end the show on.
It is.
Thank you,
believe.
everybody.
It's been a good episode.
It has been plenty to talk about. The Final Fantasy episode of the podcast. Very good stuff. Next episode, I'm sure we'll have Patreon topics. We'll have George's new segment as well. Because I'm sure there won't be a lot to talk about next episode other than Final Fantasy 16 will be out.
That's
so
true.
We'll be
I reckon
give some thoughts on that.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I might be able to get you a code for it.
That would save me a lot of money.
I'll let you know. It depends whether you want to wait. I don't know. I might get it. Like if I can get one, it might be on like release day or like the day after or something.
That would be fine if you could do that. That would be blessed. If not,
Square do sometimes send me like multiple codes for the same game sometimes. Yeah, so if I can, I'll send you one.
Hey, if you can,
just to save you buying it.
That would save me a lot of money. Games are expensive these days.
Cool. Yeah, they are. They definitely are. That's true.
It's insane.
But yeah, there's that. So there we go.
Cool.
All right.
Nice.
We'll see you all in 2 weeks' time, and we'll have a chat then about 16 a little bit, spoiler free.
Yeah, of course.
Just talk about the game, and then we'll have some bits and bobs and new segments and stuff. It'll be cool. But that's it for episode 10. We'll see you soon, everybody. Stay safe. Have a good one.
Have a brilliant time.
We'll see you all next time.
See you later, folks.
Bye bye.